Welcome to the Subbox Podcast, a place where I get to talk to people and understand how their minds work. For the first episode of 2024, though, I've got an old friend. We've known each other since primary and he just finished his Matric. In this episode, we were talking about where he is now, how he has processed December, his high school experience, how he saw that, and how he sees his future life going forward. Please welcome Liaho on the podcast.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's me, Liaho. An old friend of Seven Dealers. So it's good to be on the podcast. Yeah, it's good to be on the podcast. I don't know what to say on intros, but yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I don't know what to say. So yeah,
What does it feel like to be done with high school? Like, where's your mind? Like, okay, you've had December to process it, right? But then now it's
yeah.
January 2024. So what's on your mind now? Results are about to come out, things like that.
Okay, results coming out is scary. I won't lie. That's a very I'm scared. I won't lie, I'm scared, right? Even though I know that I put in like the effort, the last term, but I'm still scared. And my mind right now, man, I don't know. It's a very, in a way, it's like uncomfortable. Like it's just a weird feeling. Like now you're done with high school. Like it hasn't really like clicked
But
properly that you're done, you know? Yeah, like it's just a weird feeling that like, okay, wait, I'm done. I don't wear school uniform anymore. There's like I don't polish shoes. Like that whole routine is weird now. Especially like, usually like end of the year, you get your report somewhere in December. Now you have to wait
yeah,
until
yeah, yeah.
then. So yeah, man, my mind right now, I don't know. I'm still processing it, accepting that, this is it, because time really did fly, like they say, like as they would usually say that, matric time flies. I didn't believe that at first, but I saw it like when I got to like, ND exams. I'm in the exam hall writing an exam and I'm like, hey, this is it. Like this is it. Like there's no going back. So yeah, man. My mind right now it's still in the process of processing it. So yeah, yeah.
So isn't it you say that your time flew, right? So what was it like? So from like the whole year, if you break down the whole year for you, how it was from the first term, second term, third term, finals, break that down.
Okay, first time I felt the pressure. I felt that like, okay, I'm in matric right now. I mean? Things are moving. The homework, assignments, like nonstop. Yeah, it was just weird because like in grade 11, right, I felt that like there is some pressure, but not like this. Right? This was different. It was like completely different. And also I guess because like I was also a prefect, um, I was also in what is it, RLC or RCL.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, term one was like, getting the gist of it. It was pressure, but like, it kept us going. It worked. Everything worked out. Term two, yeah, I don't know what happened there. That term was just weird. Yeah, term two and three was just weird. Exams started, like the first exams, started, right?
Which
Because
ones?
they told us
Was it like the June prelim finals? Which ones? Or first,
the
which one?
June exams,
June exams, okay.
the June, yeah. So this was in term two. So they told us something about like, the matrix, I think last year or last of last year, there were still COVID kids and stuff like that.
Okay, yeah,
So
yeah.
things weren't, yeah, things were
That's
like,
hectic.
different. Yeah, yeah, it's hectic. So, hey, bro, I don't know, bro. Like those exams, like, term two, we studying. It's crazy, we studying, but like the marks come back and like, yo, like, especially I want like maths and physics. One of those subjects will humble you. If not one, then both. Yeah, if not one, then both. Yeah, so that was Tim 2, right? Tim 2 there, hey, we getting the gist of also being in an environment where like now we're no longer in like, different classrooms where we're writing exams, we're all in a hall.
Yeah,
That
all
was
in the same
different. That
place.
was yeah, so we're all in the same place, which was, all new to us and kind of weird. And then, after the heartbreaking Term 2, prelims come up, all right? Prelims come up. This was the term where that prelim report did not go home for most people. Okay. Yeah, I'm telling you, like most people, they didn't take the report. It didn't go home. It didn't go home. So after, June, the exams, yeah, people realized that like, okay, yeah, we gotta study now. These things ain't, things aren't games anymore. So that happened, and now Sharpo prelims come when they're all again, and we still don't see a difference. Like everything is just bad. Like it goes from bad to worse. You know what I mean? Like there
Yeah.
is no in between, which was kind of frustrating. It was like those two terms were so frustrating. It was like, am I really gonna do well? Am I gonna reach like that? Those marks that I want. Am I ever? Because people like started throwing in the towel, like they were like giving up. You know what? Like it's chai, Joe. It's chai. It's like literally was chai. So yeah, prelims. Yeah, things were a bit difficult, more difficult actually. I won't lie. Yeah, it was actually more difficult than. But I feel like for some subjects, with some people with me, I managed to improve with physics. So yeah, that was the thumbs up there. And then finals, yeah, finals, yeah, this way like mindset changed. Everything changed for everyone.
The
So
last
those
exam.
crowds were in, yeah, the last exam. Those crowds were in, hey, laughing. There was none of that. Yeah, there was none of that. Like really,
Everyone's
it was,
focused.
it was more focused, literally focused. So I guess the final exams weren't that bad. Some were bad. I won't lie, some were tricky. I think for me it was mainly okay, physics. I don't know what happened because prelims I was like doing good, and all of a sudden finals I'm like, what? And I was like, what? And then math, I remember doing bad, and now finals I was like, okay, I'm I've done better. I'm better. So I think math was just mainly paper two. Yeah, geometry was never my thing. I tried. I tried. No, I was never my thing. I won't lie. So yeah, finals there, you could even see like with people, like things have changed. Their mindset have changed. Be more focused. We've been humbled term two and three. We've been humbled so bad. Like, yeah, man, those groups we saw, yeah, we didn't see them anymore. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was yeah, people were focused, man. People were focused. Yeah, some people were still taking risks, like they didn't study that hard and stuff like that. But yeah, someone's knocking on my door. But yeah, okay. So yeah,
Okay.
that was term four. People were like, yeah, focused.
With
Then
exams, né?
yeah,
With
these
ex-
were exams.
yeah,
Yeah,
so I'm saying with exams for me, right? June exam, somehow I
yeah,
did very well, much better than my first term, I think. So, but then
yeah,
for me, I did June exams, I did very well. And then when the way I see with exams, right, you have June exam, which like prepares you sort of. So you get in and then you write. And then you have prelim, which is the worst one to write of all of them. Because then
yeah,
like the standard wise is different. And then you have November exams, which are a bit
yeah,
easier than it's
yeah,
like straightforward questions. But then the difference with
yeah,
term four is that it's a different mindset. So even if it's an so I was writing, so I always knew this. So you see, like when I was preparing for prelim, I was preparing for prelim, then I
yeah,
had prelim papers, I had finals papers. You could see the prelim was
yeah,
harder than finals. Né? So I so like during prelim, I was preparing, I was seeing how they mark the memos and
yeah,
everything. I was checking that. So I was thinking that when when November comes, I'd be okay. But then what I didn't
yeah,
take into account was that December, I mean, November, it's different because then now it's like your last paper, it's not like, because in prelim, ne, you write it, but then you still have that sort of thing that keeps you're still like safe because you still have that
yeah.
thing.
Still say,
You're still safe because then you're still in school. Whereas with
yeah.
finals, like this is the last one, you're done. So
Last
even
one,
if, so
yeah,
even when you're writing, you think about even when you're writing, you think about last time in high school, last time in Matric, last time we seeing these people, what's happening in my future. Finals are coming out, final results are coming out so late. It's a
yeah,
complete change. So and you're not
yeah,
just so even if the paper is easier, you're not the mind
yeah.
where your mind it's a completely different place.
That's true. That's true. I saw that too. I realized that too as well. Also, I realized also like as you're going through like the whole year, term after term, especially term 2 and 3, where things become a bit, uh difficult, you tend to change your habits. I realized that I changed my habits. I changed my study methods. I saw what worked for me and what didn't work for me. So yeah, and also, being that exam, or I don't know. I think because were just so frustrated and tired of like, hey, bro, things are going bad, June exams and prelims, that, it just became a thing like, okay, let's get this done. I want to write, I study at home, I want to get to school, I write, and that's it. So I feel like for most people, um, okay, at my school, okay, let me not speak for all of them. I can't really speak for all of them, but with me, let me just say rather with me, it only clicked like the day before the last day that like this is it. That's when it clicked.
Last day of what?
Last day of high school, like the last day of writing that exam, like in finals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
day before we wrote our last exam at finals. That day before, that's when it clicked to me. It's like, hey, bro, this is it. This is it. This is it. Because I would see like with how the year went, like with I guess with most of us, right? We just really wanted to like get this done with. We really just wanted to get this done. Sharp, we studied, things didn't go as planned, but 10 forward here, like Sharp, we want to push it and get it done with. So it only, I saw like with some people, most people, like it clicked on that last day that like, okay, yeah, this is it, bro. Like, this is it. So some people are still trying to process it, hugging their friends, what, they, hey, and I'm there day before thinking like, Joe, hey, give it is available, Joe. Like, this is it. So yeah, so yeah, Matric was, I don't know, was something. Yeah, it took a U-turn compared to like all the other grades. So it was something. It was something. And now that I'm like done, it just feels weird because the whole routine of like, okay, it's kinda, next year, I everything, everything's finished now. So yeah, man. I am nervous about it, but also in a way I'm excited because I feel like now once you're done with matric, because in a way I feel I kind of felt like school, not that it's necessarily a box, right?
Mm.
But like, yeah, sure, it helps you grow and like find yourself and stuff along the way, right? But I feel like now that you're done with it, you get to explore, you get to be open, open to certain things, trying new different things. When I going in high school, there were some people who did try different things, did things on the side. But like we just kept in this whole routine, like study, go to school and stuff. Yeah, so now that like, I'm done, I just realized sort of like I don't always have to box my ideas and box myself in with just school. And I remember I had like, tutors for physics. Um, they told me in like the group I was in that like once you get to like university, don't just only like focus like only on school, like look at different things, ways to make money, ways to try different things, like what you're doing with podcast, as well. So yeah, yeah,
Okay, well, I'll tell you what I've realized, né,
yeah,
is that school, you have this rounding, you have this sort of routine, kind of, né? But then it's the same in varsity because you can come into depends what you're doing, right?
yeah,
But if you're doing engineering, you almost have no
yeah,
choice. There's a thing like in engineering. I've heard from one guy is like you have like three things you can either have. It's either you focus on school, you get a girlfriend, or you do sports. I don't know. It's like it's either you do school, you do sports, or you drink. You can only pick two of the three. So so that's in engineering. That's what I would like. Because for me, my engineering experience isn't it's diluted in a way because
yeah.
I did digital, right? So
Oh,
I know some of the
okay,
concepts already. Well, I know what I know is the concept of what we're doing, just like now the practical
yeah,
applications and things like that. So for me, I'm not so concept wise, I'm not exactly learning something, it's just that now you're diving deeper into the way to apply it and cal-
oh, okay,
calculations, computations, things like that. But the base general concept, I can tell you now, this is that, this does this.
yeah,
I can figure out the whole picture and puzzle and what it's about.
mm,
So then,
yeah,
so for me, my experience is not like a pure, because I've already had previous experience.
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
experience, yeah.
But then with others, if you're going, so let's say you're going to school, then you have that round. So you're in the same routine. You go into varsity.
Yeah.
If varsity is your thing, then you go into varsity. If you go somewhere else, that's gonna be your routine. But then since I'm in the varsity space, in varsity you also have that loop thing that you're in. And then the harder the course or the more mental, the more of your mental power it requires, the more you need to focus on it. Then you're in that routine
Yeah.
again, finding, then there's finding internships and etc. in that. So in that as well. So that's the second one. Then from there you go into a job. That's the same routine. And then the older you get,
Yes.
yeah. And then now, say in high school now, the responsibilities you had was like you still had your like maybe your parents fetch you or you had transport to go home and then come back and go home.
Yeah.
Much easier. But then now with more choice, when you come to varsity with more choice, there comes more responsibilities, more unforeseen circumstances, I would say. Because now, let's say
Yeah.
now you're like, what am I wearing tomorrow? What clothes am I like? There's like style clothes. There's like, what events am I going to? How am I distressing? How am I studying exams? Things like that. And then they say, I'm gonna do it this way. They say you pick a way, I'm gonna do it. They say study this way. I'm gonna
Yeah.
buy clothes this way. I'm gonna buy something this way. Then
Yeah.
if things don't work out the way and then things don't work out the way you planned them to. Now you have other things to think about, and then it just becomes that whole thing. Even like maybe more with the way you pick friends, etc. Then that's just more
Yeah.
responsibilities. Now you end up branding. Now that's a different cycle to get stuck in. And then with work, once again, now you get your own money. Now you're thinking about which money to come in. What's the type, how much money is coming in the next month and next month and next month, worrying about if you have money the next month. So you're always stuck in a loop. That's one thing I realized.
Yeah. But I find it scary, man, because like, when you're in a loop, it's just so easy to fall under the system that every day is just the same thing, going on and on. So, you know, what is it? With people who like find a way to do things outside of like the system, I feel like it's something really cool because it's so easy to fall under the same thing every year, every day, that you might just end up like, like you trying this, you wanting to try that is just like, it's a waste of time, or like it just requires so much time, or like I'll look at it eventually, but then eventually you don't, So always having to be in a space where like you can just not fall into the system, I feel like it's something, I don't know, something that I'm really looking at a lot. So yeah.
With that one, okay, I have the engineering thing, and then I have the other projects. So you have the podcast, the YouTube. So you have the podcast, this one, and then you have the YouTube channel, and then the newsletter, and maybe some other
Yeah.
side projects on the side to bring in money. So you have that, but then my view now is like even so let's say you have that, so we have this loop. There's also a benefit being of that loop now, because now you don't have to think about many other things, because then you're sort of closed. You don't have to think
Yeah.
about same thing with the way high school was. You don't have to think about some other things because you already have a set system. Whereas because then once you step out, what I'm saying, is I'm not saying that you don't I'm not saying you don't get the freedom and everything. What I'm saying is that
Yeah.
now you also run into a, let's say you do get the money, you don't have to work in the system anymore. Now you're in a state where what am I gonna do with my life? What do I find meaning? You run into a meaning problem.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like
It's
what am I
that's
gonna do with my life? Is this
that's been
meaningful for
yeah.
me? Is this worthwhile? So you run into a problem of what are you putting the work in? And even then, it can be, what you do can be discredited because there are other ways to do. So even if you pick one way, your way could now easily be, your way, your way won't have as much weight as someone else because now they have their own biases and own prejudices that this way is better than
Yeah.
this one, even if it's not school
Yeah.
based, like based on a different way to achieve something, achieve how to make
Yeah.
money. So now they are so based on that bias, your thing can be discredited. That's another thing to think about.
That's true.
So the main thing is that what does that what does what you're doing mean to you? That's the
Yeah.
main thing. Because
Yeah.
there are, regardless of
Yeah,
what you
that's true.
do,
Okay.
yeah. So regardless of what you do, there are some good points to it and some bad points to it. So even if so whatever you do, even if you say you want to break out and do something for yourself, there are some negative
Yeah.
points that you wouldn't think about. You aren't thinking of them right now, but they are there and they show themselves. So even if, let's say, you have an idea, like if I had this, I'd be doing this, but not really. You
Yeah.
wouldn't. You wouldn't because you're not. You don't know. You don't know the things that are hidden in between and what other elements, unforeseen elements, are there
But yeah,
now because of what they're
yeah.
doing in the power they have.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Okay. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is true. I get your point. Yeah, it's a valid point. Yeah. Yeah, man. That's quite the point. I'll look into it as well. You know. Also, I guess when I get there, I feel like it would just somehow come to me that like, okay, I gotta look left and right, you know. But yeah, I get your point. I get your point. But how has, varsity been for you though? I watched some of your videos with your friends. I laugh too when you guys laugh. I don't know why. But yeah. But how has it been in general? Because you're not at rest, ne? You're at home,
Yeah,
if
I'm
I'm
at
not
home. I'm at home.
mistaken.
I'm at home. Yeah.
Yeah, how was the experience though? Because many people when they want to go to varsity, it's the thing of like I want to be there, I don't want to be home. But how was your experience being home?
I'll answer, but then it's funny how, because like in the year of being there, 2023, I've never gotten that question. I was expecting it, but I never got it, which is weird.
Oh, okay.
Like, so it's weird how no one has asked me how it's like to being at home. But
Yeah,
my reason for that is, well, first, I'm not far away from varsity. That's
yeah,
that's the first reason. That's but then I could go at rest. I could stay at rest if I wanted to, but then the reason why, I guess, is the main reason why is my money motivations. Money wise, if I'm going to make a certain thing, it doesn't really make sense to go to rest because then now, okay, so say my cost first year is like 65K. That's what it is.
yeah,
But then if you're staying at rest, that's 45K plus. So in just that 1 year, is 100K gone. And then multiply that by, because mine is a 3 year course. So multiply
yeah.
that by three, that's 300 as compared to 180. So yeah.
I see. Okay. Yeah,
So
I
yeah, that's
see.
the first thing. And then if I were to stay alone, right?
Yeah,
If I were to make my own money, now you're counting rent, you're counting food, you're counting your own clothes, transport.
see.
Yeah, there's just so firstly, if you break it down logically, it doesn't make sense to move out. But then now, but then now, the reason why people would move out would be the emotional reasons. Like you don't want to stay home, it's too stifling
Yeah,
and everything.
yeah,
But then say, I guess one thing you could consider is say you were to go out and then you were
yeah.
to live on your own for like 5, 10 years, and then you have to come and then let's say you run out of money, you'd go back home in a way. So it's
Yeah,
not
in a way that
it's not so much that you're tired of your family. It's just that the way you think about this environment that you're in. So it's more your own self mental. It's more a
yeah,
mental problem than that this environment is stifling. Because if you went away, then you came back, sure, the way your parents view you would change, and the way you view yourself would change. But then it's
yeah,
how it's how you view yourself. That's the type of problem it is, more so than you wanting to go away. And now, if you go away, there's money involved as well. Whereas you could
that's true.
keep the money where it needs to be, and then pay off some
Yeah,
other
okay.
things, and then it
Yeah,
comes to you. Yeah, that's I guess another reason. But then staying at home for like the first few months, I felt that like you feel that you feel the pull to go to rest and like do your own thing.
Yeah.
That's so I felt that pull. But then after I started my own thing, it didn't really matter anymore because now
Uh,
because now you're like you because now I'm fulfilled in what I'm doing. So regardless,
yeah.
I already have my own way of becoming an adult, which is
Mm,
the side project that I'm doing. So
yeah.
that part of being an adult is already fulfilled. So there's no need. So it doesn't make so now being an so if it, being an adult, right, making the mature decision is that throw away your feelings because they don't really matter at this point. Money wise, it makes
Yeah.
more sense to stay at home when
It makes more sense. It does. It does.
when when you already have your own thing, you already have your own thing set up and you're building it, it makes more sense to stay at home and just keep the money there instead of wasting it on some other
Wasting the
things
in
based
there.
on how you're feeling.
But how are you like balancing? Okay, I'm at home now. Okay, maybe the feeling of I'm at home, and also you got like some assignments to do while you're at home. Like, what about disturbance or like you gotta do chores or whatever like that? How did find your leeway there?
Weirdly enough, I don't do many chores at home in general.
What?
So yeah, that's so in general, I never did many chores. I always
Okay.
so for me, if we live, so for me, I guess another thing that helped is that I always had my own thing that I was busy with on the side. So
Oh, you always
before
had okay, you always had
before
a
it
thing.
used to
Yeah.
be, so before it used to be, I'd get home. Okay, before as in, let's start very young, grade one, right? We used to wait
Pick
for my
one.
yeah. So like grade one, we used to wait for my mother at like a garage. Then from there, I'd be reading. My father had like great books from grade three maths. I'd be doing that, and I'd be building from there. So grade
Oh
four,
yeah.
so grade four and grade five material. So like between like maybe from maybe March to say March till December, I'll do like a maths. I'll do the maths curriculum for the next grade. So five, four, five, six, and then I also did the
Okay.
physics one. So by grade six, I already knew like first maybe 30 elements of the periodic table. I already knew them by head by grade six. Then came grade seven, I just improved it to 40. Even I think the multiplications, the exponents, I already knew them. So it's that type of, so I already had something to do. Then came grade eight, grade nine, same thing. Next, but then
Yeah.
same thing, I had that, but then around grade eight, grade nine. So let's say I finished the curriculum, I finished around maybe September, October. And then
Yeah.
between October and December, I'd have my own studying in a sense, because I'd be studying philosophy, studying business, studying that. So that's what I was focused on. And then that went into grade 10, grade 11, grade 12. Now I had that thing going on where
Yeah.
I was studying something else, something in different scale, a different, whatever I was doing, I was studying something.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the reason why I don't do chores is that is from when I was young, I always had to do something that was improving me. And actually,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
even before that, if we go back to like maybe when I was six, I was doing chess.
Yeah.
I was doing chess. So
What?
even then,
Yeah.
so I did so sports wise, I did chess, and then I did chess for I think so from six maybe until I was nine, and then I did some soccer and some cricket. So even then,
Yeah.
I was always yeah, so I was always doing like sports. So I had sports, and then I also had
Mm,
academics. So in a way, that's why I guess I didn't. So from a young, I didn't do that many chores because I always had something. So it just
yeah.
moving metric, I didn't really do much. So I think that's why now I don't do chores as much. And if we're talking about like disturbances, I'm in a separate room. There aren't really that many disturbances because it's already set that this time's for work, like from like maybe six, like eight to
Mm,
five to it's already
mm.
work.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. I've always in primary school, I saw you. You always had like this thing on the side where like you always improve skills. I remember you would always tell me and Litawa like to like I don't know in a way work on like certain things that we're doing on the side, like even if it's like mathematics or whatever, just it was a matter of like honing those skills and like building them. Yeah, so I could always see you always busy with that, but I never really got like the thing. But now I understand now, like why, you know. So now I would get it, and I would see you with sports. I don't know how you dominated cricket. Okay, I don't know how. I remember, was it prize giving, né? You got what is it, the cricket, was it the bat, né? The cricket bat with your
Oh
name
yeah,
on.
yeah, 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 yeah. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but yeah, so I was like, how many runs did you make? You made 100 and something, né? I think it
yeah,
was
100
100
and,
runs or something.
106. Yeah, I was angry that match actually. Because you see what happened, eh? Yo, I was
Yeah,
angry. Because like, okay, so for those that don't understand cricket, basically you have what I call two innings, right? So then
yeah,
you have 11 batsmen, basically.
yeah,
And
true,
then
yeah,
you have a bowler. So you bowl to the so let's say I'm one team, you are another team, right? In my team, we have 11, and then your team we have 11. So there's what's called
yeah,
overs, right? So in each
yeah.
each over is six balls that are bowled, basically. So thrown to the batsman.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah, so
yeah,
thrown to the batsman, and then the batsman either
yeah.
hits the ball. Then if the ball is
Oh,
on the floor, if the ball is on the floor and reaches what's called the boundary, which is the outside, that's four
yeah,
runs. And if the ball
4 runs, yeah,
is hit without bouncing and goes over the boundary, that's six.
6,
And then you
yeah,
can do some runs. So let's say you hit the ball, then you run, then they throw, then you're in the
mm,
gate. That's now. Then you can, depending on how many runs you did, that's a run. So that's the basic premise of it. And then let's say you have 11. So a wicket is basically, let's say I'm a batsman, now you bowl and then hits the wicket. Now I'm out.
yeah,
I'm out.
yeah, oh, yeah,
I'm out. So that's how many runs for one, for two, for three, and so on. So let's
yeah,
say it for an innings to finish, it's either you bowl them out, which basically you 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 hit all the batsmen out except for
yeah,
one. So all the batsmen get out. That's bowled out, or your overs run out. So let's say in a T20, basically you have 20
yeah,
overs. That means you have six so an over is six balls, right? That you bowl.
yeah,
And then you change the
6,
field.
yeah,
You change the field. So there's 20 in a T20, there's 20 of them. In an ODI, there's 50,
mm,
and then in a test match, there's unlimited. Then I think you have five innings there. So that's the basic premise of
oh,
it. So
yeah,
so when I did cricket, I was an all-rounder. All-rounder basically means you
play
do
of every position.
you do batting and you do bowling. That's what
Yeah,
an all-rounder is. That's what I was. So then we started with betting, right? So I was betting there.
mm,
I got 100. So you get a 50. So 50 is when they put the bet up, and then so you got 50 runs. That's hitting the
yeah,
ball. So
mm,
that's sixes included, that's fours included. And let's say I hit the ball, I get ones, twos. That's a 50. So I got my first 100 that game. This was grade seven. Grade seven, I was like 12, 2017. So I got my first ever 100 that game, right? So I
yeah,
was happy. That was the first inning. So I was happy, right? So now I was happy. And then I'm thinking I'm gonna bowl the next inning. I didn't bowl at
mm,
all. I was there on the field. I was angry
mm,
because I got 100.
mm,
Like the 100 wasn't even expected because some of them for me they were easy to hit. So I got them and they were easy to hit. So I hit them and
yeah,
I get 100 runs came. They just tell me on the side, because outside the but I got 100. I'm like, wow. I'm like, okay. And then I'm waiting to bowl.
yeah,
I'm waiting to bowl
the ball,
there.
yeah,
But I think only bowled. It's either I bowled two overs, I didn't bowl at all. When generally I bowl
yeah,
like maybe 4 or 5 overs. So you can imagine me there. I'm standing. I'm on the field. Nothing happens on the field. For 20 overs, I'm just waiting there. I was angry.
damn,
That's
man, damn,
yeah.
damn,
But
that is crazy,
that's how
that
that
is crazy.
that's how that happened.
So you stop also playing sports in high school also? You think you told me once you did like football or ball, or then like you stopped or something, or was it
Yeah,
a
that's
club? I can't remember.
so I played soccer, but then now I've sort of stopped so I stopped last year with Matric because we had so in March that what there was the SIP classes that was there. So there's SIP classes and then SIP like secondary school. I forgot the thing, but like extra classes in a sense. So we had
Yeah,
SIP classes, yeah. But then that was in March when the season was starting. So I ended up doing Matric instead of soccer. and that's when I stopped like officially playing soccer for a club. That's when I stopped. And then now I may go back, but then I can see that I'm not that like not my plan A where everything is in this thing. I do
Yeah.
occasionally when I'm out and I'm training, I do play with the ball then there. So I do improve, but then it's not something I'm 100% in. So I can feel that I'm not 100% in. So sort of, but if we're going out and playing, then I have no problem playing. But I can feel it's not something, not something that I'm 100% or even 200% in. So that type of
Yeah,
thing
but
is
would you think that like if you let's say were to go back, right? Um, the balancing between like academics and also, doing sports as well. Like if you were to play for a club, wouldn't that like in a way disturb you, or have you found your way yet to manage your time, throughout like this year being first year at varsity?
well, I've always done that in a sense
Mm.
because we can replace YouTube and the newsletter with soccer. If
Yeah,
you think so, because I didn't have the YouTube, I didn't have soccer when I was playing in high school. So now I
yeah.
feel so it's sort of like a replacement for that. Because even if
Oh,
I was reading in like October, November. That's when the soccer season is finished, and that's when I had the time. So even and then school was also finished because by then I already passed the year that time. So grade, I guess the nice thing was like grade 1 to grade 11. By time three, I already passed the year with like 50%, 60%. So I was done. So I wasn't stressed about the last one. So that was
oh,
so
that's
yeah. So even then, like everything is ending, everyone is finishing. So even then, it's not like it was not. So even when I was doing the learning, it was not a big thing. So the
oh,
soccer now is like it's been replaced with the school and
cool.
with the side
Yeah,
projects.
right. But describe for me your very first day, like you started uni. Describe that for me. How was that? I'm sure that was different. Like it was a different thing. Like seeing all these people, or did you always have like a certain mentality that like, you know what, I'll be good, I'll be fine. Most people always, you're always nervous because you're going to a world, because now you're going to the real world now, It's no more like that thing or like I guess in a way, high school. We always had that thing was like, it's just over and over and over. Now you're like still in like school, but like now you're in school, but then this school is not just on one level up, pass on one level. Now it's like, getting a degree, getting a job, getting, it's the real world now. So I would like describe for me your first day as you like, entered varsity. Yeah, how was it? Or the first week as well. Yeah.
It's not going to go the way you expect because TET was like, completely different. So
Okay.
so I so results come out on the 20th of Jan. Ne?
Yeah.
Was 2023 results come out 20th of January. That's when they come out. TET replies and says, so by TET registration started on the 26th of Jan. That's when it started. And then 30th.
Mm,
By then I already knew UCT was out, UP was out. Those are the ones I applied to. So I already know UCT
mm,
was out, UP was out. I was waiting on
mm,
VIT and UJ, but they were taking long to
mm.
reply. So we're like, okay, maybe for now, given the way it's going, let me just register for TUT. And TUT, nice thing is like registration is 1.5, whereas with like your VITs, UP, registration is like 10,000, 10.5, 11,
Yeah.
12. So yeah, that's another. So with UP, with TET is like 1.5, and then that 1.5 is minus from your, so like the cost, let's say 6.5, then 1.5 is
Mm.
minus from the 6.5 from your registration. So
Oh, that's cool.
that was another nice thing about it. So that's the way it was with like TUT. But then,
Mm,
so we get in 26, ne?
mm.
6, there's also like the bank payments, ne? So
Yeah,
let's say you bank with one thing. Let's say you bank with a bank, right? But then
yeah.
the institution uses a different bank. So now there's that 3 day uh gap
Oh,
transfer money.
oh
That
yeah,
3 day
yeah.
gap you
Okay.
transfer money, then it
Yeah,
doesn't reflect the same. So mine wasn't reflecting on that thing for registration. So I went there the day before. Then I waited
Mm.
in the line for like so I think I was there from like maybe 6, 7, and then the next up until like maybe 4 or 5, just like standing in the line. When apparently
Mm.
all I need to do was wait, basically, but doesn't. So I went there and then because they said they said pay online, right? So pay online and
Yeah.
for inquiries go on this don't go like maybe from like maybe 26 to like 29 or something like that for inquiries or whatever. 26,
Yeah.
29, you can go to the varsity and they help you out. So I went there and then I just waited in line. So while I was waiting in line, I was looking at the varsity, I was doing what I was doing was, so this, what I was doing was like, I have my mind the way it is, going to the
Mm.
varsity. And then now
Yeah.
I have the outside varsity world. Ne?
Yeah.
And from there,
Mm.
I was taking, so let's say now, I'm connected to like certain spots or things that I know that I can tell it. So like here's a different thing that I don't have, but it's different. So like
Yeah.
yeah, so I was taking that and then I was like making them mend and fight together. And then
Mm.
after that I take the next thing, take the next thing, I take the next thing, then fight. And I was there for like the whole day. So that's what I was busy with in my mind.
Mm. It's
Yeah.
really interesting.
So
Not
like
many people do. Like, yeah.
so on the 30th, I think was when official orientation was supposed to happen. We got the official. So I already went on 26th, which I think was Monday, something like that.
Yeah.
And the orientation was maybe on Thursday, Friday, something like that. So then I went to orientation. Come orientation is a mess. Like there's no structure. So first we go to the stadium. So first I go to the engineering building, right? But then they say we should go to the stadium. So I go to the stadium. That's when people start piling in. And then they say electrical engineering, go back to your building. So then they take us there. And even there,
Yeah.
even there, they separate us. They say, so then they say like Eng Tech, which is what I'm doing. Eng Tech,
Mm.
one side, um, diploma in the middle, and then higher certificate one side. Then we were 14 on Eng Tech, and then others were like maybe 20 and
Yeah.
maybe 25. So like so on our side we were like maybe 14, other side like 20, the other side maybe also like 20. So that's like 40. So that's like 40, 50, that's 55 people for the whole electrical engineering New Year's. So from there you can just
Yeah.
see that no one, like people, a lot of people were missing in orientation. So from there you could see that a lot of people were missing. But then we're thinking that okay, something's
Yeah.
up. So then we go in, they tell us so we go into or we go to a classroom. We sit in the classroom. You just tell us this is this. Do your student card, do this, do that. This is
Mm.
how it generally goes, etc., etc. And then they say
Yeah.
orientation is done. The official orientation will happen on the 14th of February. By that time, yeah, it's weird. But they say official orientation will happen on the 14th of February. But then we're done. So basically from then on, I had so from sitting outside of the stadium, I got a friend there. And then in the
Yeah.
classroom, I got another friend. So basically, we were just so from there, we walked around the campus, seeing
Mm.
things, seeing how that worked. And then, oh yeah, then they said, you were starting. So let's say we were there on maybe like the Wednesday. We were there, maybe 30th, I think.
Mm.
30th, Friday, something like that. They're like starting next. So I think like a Wednesday, Thursday. They say like the Monday or the Tuesday, we're starting with school. Ne? So
Yeah.
then so then I was like Thursday, Friday, I'm getting used to the varsity environment.
Yeah.
And then so that is that week. So we start the first week, that's when we're getting to start. Right. When we're getting into start, lecturers aren't available for that first week. So we get in the lecturers we do get, ne? The lecturers we
Yeah.
do get are okay, we got the maths lecturer and we got the electronics lecturer. So the maths lecturer, I think we had the maths lecturer. We got the maths lecturer on like maybe Wednesday, but then the Monday we're just going sitting outside classes, and then like nothing's happening. So like we're sitting outside classes, the class is locked. We're just sitting there, and there's like maybe 10 of us there. We're sitting on the classes,
Yeah.
class is locked, nothing's happening. So I'm just so from there, I'm chatting with people, I'm talking to them, etc. So I'm getting into the varsity vibe already. Talking to people, I'm getting in there, and then we go to, let's say, a maths on like maybe a Tuesday, Wednesday. We do the study guide.
Mm,
Study guide is this. This is where you learn everything. That whole thing. You'll get tired of it after hearing it. So study guide. So first few times, first 3, 4 times hearing like, okay, so this is what the study guide is. I mentioned down the notes.
is yeah.
Study guide is this. Study guide is that. Go to this platform. This is where you'll find this, etc. Because like let's say the official platform, the official website of the varsity is not the same
Mm.
as the one you're gonna use to learn. So they told us where you're learning, yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's where you're
That's
learning.
cool.
This is what how your learning works. And yeah, that was that was first week. Then second week rolls around. It's not there's still some lecturers that are not there at all. So we're still waiting outside classes. There's now more people, but then you can things are starting to in, getting started. So that's
Okay.
so my varsity experience is I have
How do
time.
you skip like the first day? I mean, the people weren't there. Like, it just doesn't make sense. How do you skip like that first orientation?
And then
And
oh
I
yeah,
bet there was like a question mark on the faces on your faces because like they were not lecturers. And you're like,
no, not really
oh, go
because
on.
like
Yeah.
it's sort of like you see when you're going to let's say you're in high school, right? You're going to class and then you like maybe the
Mm,
lecturer is late or something. So you just wait outside
mm.
waiting for it was like that. So like it's like you're
Oh,
waiting for the teacher to come in and thing it. So it's like a normal hallway, normal class. You just and then you're just waiting there. Then while you're waiting, you just conversate, that type of thing. And then
okay.
we just learned that apparently first week nothing happens because we teach you like late registration and everything. So they allow people to come in and thing,
Yeah.
which is but then
I
the
think
thing is
I
weird.
do that too because
Huh?
I did. Then I never really got anything back from them. So what I want to do is once I get my report, I mean my final results, I want to take it to them straight instead of like doing this thing online because I don't know, complications or whatever.
That's what to
So
teach.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Because I'm
But
thinking of
then
going to them straight.
yeah, but then the weird thing is that the only proper time we had like a full class was like in
Yeah.
March, to say. Like in March. No, actually I don't know,
Yeah.
but like a proper full class was like maybe in February, mid-February. So like
Mid-February, yeah.
I was the first week with like maybe 20 people. And then it goes, then like maybe 30 people, then like maybe 40, 50, and it starts getting bigger, like 50, then goes to 100, 150. Then people start filling in and coming in. So by then, I already gotten used to the varsity environment. So it wasn't, so not
That's
like, yeah, so the
pretty
orientation for me is not like everyone is there, everyone's getting. It was a slow process for me.
that's cool, it's cool. Yeah, because most of us when we want to get varsity, thinking that the first day, we meet people, things are gonna, then we're gonna go like party or something. Because yeah, I'm hearing stories, Joe. I don't know. I'm hearing stories that some people's first day is not, like how you would say with yours. Some of them will like, yeah, they meet a lot of people, then they go have fun. So that's when they get convinced that like they want to stay here and stuff like that. So yeah. But I was like, the friendships there, your friends there, do you still keep in touch with like the people that you're with in high school, you know? And also like the friends you've made, was it easy to make friends and like navigate like with people and stuff like that?
Okay, like a lot of the varsity, with the varsity one, because there are like, let's say if you go to VEDS, UCT,
Yeah.
UP, I have seen like the orientation weeks is much more structured. So you get in, there's a lot of more first years. So you meet a lot of people. So when I went into varsity, I already knew, so because I had watched YouTube videos before, so I already knew that
Mm,
you're going in to learn something. I mean, you're going in there to like be out to talk to people. And so that's what I went in with. So I already
mm,
knew that. And then in high school, when I was in high school, I already had so you sort of realize that like it's the last year, it's your last year
Yeah,
in
yeah,
like last day, the day before. Whereas with me, by grade 11, I was already preparing. I was trying to prepare myself for that grade 12 would be my last year. So that's what I was doing.
yeah,
So by grade 11, end of grade 11, I'm already preparing myself. I'm trying to prepare myself that grade 12 will be the last year. And now it's like, then what does that mean? So if you break it down, that means like it's gonna be last time you see your friends, and then you wanna you're gonna wanna be happy, but you also wanna be to be focused on what you're doing. Because balancing that.
yeah,
That's what I went to in, and then also my personality as well. I'm not like I'm the type of person I am. It's not like the life of the party type of person where
yeah. Or people person rather. Yeah, not really much of
I
a
can
people person.
okay, I can be a people person in the sense that you're able to talk to me, I can talk to you, and then it's a we can have a good
Yeah.
relationship, that type of thing. But then as a group, in a group setting,
Mm.
I'm not like them. I'm not like the person you would have in a group, as in
Oh yeah, yeah.
like I'm not like the person where you must have in the group, the one that brings
Okay.
the vibe, the one that brings
Yeah,
that type of person.
you just like outside there doing your
Yeah,
own thing.
yeah. So I
Yeah,
can be in the group, but then I can also be most of the time outside of. So already they already knew. Given my first, so I already had people. So on going into grade 12, I already had like a list of. I didn't have a physical list, but there are people I could
yeah.
list down that these are the people I can talk to anytime, any day, and these are my
Oh, that's
friends.
cool.
And there
Yeah,
are others who are off, not on the list, and then it just went that way throughout the year. So even now, friends wise, it's still the same people I could talk to. Some now,
yeah,
some now, let's say they did something in high school. That's not for me now. So then just scaling back from them. And then they just, if, so it's now, there's a fewer people that I talk to. Of course,
yeah.
if I meet someone, I could talk to them. Doesn't, not a problem for me. But then people I do talk to generally, it's not that, it's less than it was. But still the same people you could say in high school. I could still list them like these were the people I could talk to in general because the people I gelled with.
It's cool. It's cool. Uh,
But then in
but like,
varsity,
yeah,
making friends is as a first year, it's easy. I'd say it's easy because
mm,
everyone already like you're new there. Everyone already wants to make friends. So it's not like in high school. Let's say in high school, grade 8, everyone is like as a teen, you're sort of eyeing, you're watching, and like, nah,
yeah,
you wanna be cool, you don't wanna get bullied, you don't know you yep. So you're
yeah,
scared. So you're sort of your guard is up. You're sort of watching, sort of like
yeah,
so
yeah.
even if you want friends, you're sort of you're watching the thing, your
On
guard is
yeah,
up. Whereas university is like it's a much more open playing field. So you get in. Well, the first thing you realize like when you step in is just how much bigger the place is. So you get in. So because of how big it is, for me, the way I saw it is like you're forced to open up your mind.
true.
Yeah.
That's
So you
true.
get in, so you're forced. So your mind is already open, and then you already realize like nobody has time to be like after grade 12, you like nobody has time to be a bully. Nobody has time to like look over you. Nobody has time. Nobody like there's no bullies and things like that. You sort of know that because nobody has time for that. So
Mm,
you that part is gone. So no need to put the guard up. So like everyone you can already see everyone is doing the course trying to do something. So going into that, it's
yeah,
much easier. You already know that everyone wants to have friends. Everyone wants to because they've heard the same stories you have heard that this is the place where you make lifelong friends, etc., etc. They already have their
true.
own things they've dealt with. So going into it, you already know that you already know a few things. So everyone's already open to talking to you. So it's have much easier to get to know people. Friends is a different thing because you have to gel with them, but then getting to know people is much easier.
But besides like knowing people and stuff, I guess like in a way you kind of saw like the people like in varsity, like maybe once the classes started being full, Like once things started kicking in, they're like, okay, there are some people that are like, nah, they're not for me. There are some people that are like, yeah, made for me. I guess like you kind of saw like different characters, as you would see also in high school, So how about that? Like, did you like manage to see that like different characters? Did you have like people like where eventually you said, well, like they're not for me, like this is not for me, or like was it just a thing where like you just met the right people?
With me, it's like so you can think of it like this, right? Let's say I'm there first week, second week, third week. I already have my clique that I know. Then let's say
Hmm.
you're new, you already. So let's say now it's your first day. Whereas for me, it's my third week. Right? It's your first
Hmm.
day. You're in. You wanna make friends, but you already see these people are talking to themselves. These people are talking to themselves. These people are talking to themselves. So you already. So you just go to the group that fits you, in a sense. So for me, because for me, by third week, I was tired of talking to people in a sense. That's when now I started focusing on my own thing. And whereas, so like, given, let's say you're now third week, fourth week, have your, you already know the type of person you gel with in a way. So even if you meet other people already, you can already see that this group is my type of group. So you go there, you go there, you go there. And then that's just how it went. Then some people maybe they moved between groups, others talked here, talked there, others got a few friends. There's that type of thing. And I guess the weird thing is that in engineering it's very closed. So in varsity you might in engineering it's closed in the sense that but the engineering buildings, so you have TUT, nah? TUT you get in
Yeah.
is like a road. To get in is like a main campus, like a road sort of. On the right side of the road, all engineering buildings are there. And then on the
Mm.
left side of the road, that's where like you get your management sciences and things like that. So that's so
Yeah.
in engineering, you just know, and engineering is the type of course where like you spend night and day in it. So eat, sleep, repeat in engineering. And it's always on the right side. So you know everyone you meet on the right side is gonna be engineers. So
Engineering.
it's
Makes sense.
and
Yeah.
then the only engineers, and then everyone's either going home. Everyone's either at home or in class in as engineering. They're either at home doing their own thing or they're in class. So the only people you get to meet mostly are your electrical engineers, the people you're in
Mm.
class with instead of other people. So that's a weird thing. Electrical engineering is that everyone
I
is
hear
that
this yeah.
yeah, it's that isolated.
Damn. Okay, that's interesting. Yeah. But like is there I don't know, maybe like because like being in Matric, people look at certain varsities and be like, this one has a vibe, that one has a vibe. Or maybe in your perspective, they might just be like, the same because you're just there to learn, you know? Or is there certain, I don't know, some people find universities as like a vibe. There's a certain vibe to it when you go here. But okay, let me ask this rather. Is there a certain culture in TUT? Like how in high school there are traditions and stuff. Maybe like when you do sports or extra activities and stuff like that. Is there like a certain culture that you have experienced there?
Okay, from my research doing other varsities, so before seeing in your vids and your in the higher end, like your vids UP, I could see that
Yeah.
happening. I could easily see that happening. I was also like, see the guest on the fifth podcast, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
guest on the first episode as well. From there I could sort of there's something I could pick up like something said off camera that there is sort of a culture there. There's so like in its prestige, there's in its prestige. So now because that prestige is there, people now have that ideal is in their mind. So then they keep that focus there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas with TT, TT is sort of like a TT is much easier to see through people. That's the one thing I would say that with TT is much
Okay.
easier to see. Because it's like Well, that culture, that prestige thing is not there, firstly. But then even there,
Yeah,
TT. So I'm not saying, so even if I'm saying like there's a lot of prestige in like your UP and your VETs, I'm not saying that TT's education is not good, because there are like
yeah,
very good
yeah.
quality
I think
classes.
especially engineering, the
Yeah, there are
engineering though.
there are like good quality classes, faculty, facilities and things like that. But then the idea is like you're going to class and then you meet who you meet and then you go.
Mm.
So let's say you meet someone like, can you help me with this assignment, can you help me with that assignment. Everyone you meet is sort of like the first goal is like the degree, and then the other so everyone's like worried about their own problems in a sense. So what they're
True.
doing, are they doing? So it's much. So if someone has the bad intentions, let's say they don't, let's say we're chilling, right? And then you say something offhand, or
Yeah,
you do something that's not in good faith, right? We can go
mm-hmm.
and then you do the same thing. It's much easier to see your intentions, because
Okay.
there's no, because now um it's a more human feel to it, because everyone is there, they're focused on
Yeah,
their own
yeah.
grind and everything. So if
Don't do
you
the thing. Yeah,
there isn't that, and I guess another thing is because most people I've seen are either, so let's say I'm 18 in varsity, which is a year
yeah.
younger than the main one.
Then yeah,
But even then, the main people there are either 20, 21. So either did higher certificate, or they took a gap year or something. So like 20,
yeah,
or like they did a course before, now they're doing this one. So like it's, so you get, so more than usual, you get people that are like 20, 21, 22, 23. So they coming to the varsity, they come with a much more mature vibe. Whereas if you, I'd imagine going into like your VETS, UP, those are people like 18, 19. They sort of think the way
yeah,
you do. They still that. So let's say
yeah,
you're coming out of Matric, there's still that thing where you still want to impress them. Whereas
yeah. Sure.
people that are much older, they've seen more of life. They're like, why am I gonna impress you when I have my own things? It doesn't make sense for me. So I'm focused on my own life. So for me,
And I think
that has helped me adjust to it.
I think that's something that like many like is it telling me now. I think it's something that I'm gonna. Well, it just hit me, I guess, because most of the time, we don't really think about that at all. We don't really think. We always thinking that like, maybe the institution you're going to, even the area around there, is going to be like this and that. But like, we don't really keep what you're saying, what you just told me into mind, which is actually a good thing that now you're telling me because I have to keep it in mind now that it's not just trying to impress or like getting to institutions like this and that, thinking only about the culture and stuff like that. But I feel like in your case, it's a benefit because you just get there, do what you do, see, I guess, run about the same people every day. So yeah, it's just like anyway, straightforward. What I'm trying to say, it's just like straightforward. You get one, two, three done. So yeah, which
But
is
then even
actually yeah,
okay, but then with the people, nah, it's not like I'm seeing the same type of, so even if I'm not like seeing the same type of people, because then the people I know that I speak to,
yeah.
like maybe it's only like maybe five that I like properly know who they are. The rest, the
Oh,
rest you see in
okay.
their own groups and their own thing, because there's so many people there. Because even in a class, you'd find like maybe like 120, 100, 150. So those
Uh,
are the numbers. Those are the numbers of people. So when I'm seeing other people, I'm seeing them in their own groups and cliques. I'm not seeing them. So sometimes when you get to speak to someone else who's in a different clique, you wanted to speak to them and you just talk to them. Because even in the group, it's not like we're just in the group because it makes sense for all of us to be in the group. But then
keeping the yeah.
if you talk to the person directly, then it's a different type of, you see the person is different from what you thought they'd be.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
So now we are switching scenes. Something came up, so now we're filming late in the day. It's change of scene, change. It's a different time of day. But then as we'll be continuing now. And then so for you right now is like, is varsity the thing you're planning to pursue now? given where you are right now, finish with Matric,
Yeah.
is varsity the thing you're planning on pursuing?
Yeah, it's something that I'm planning on pursuing. Yeah, it's just been on my mind. Yeah.
Has it
Because
always been on your
like
mind? Has it always been on your mind since you were a kid, or what was your reason? What's your reason for wanting to go there?
um I don't know, it's just been on my mind. And the reason I think is just the whole thing of like getting a degree and just getting to do the work that I want to do, like the thing I studied for mainly. Yeah, because sometimes you can apply for something, it might not be something that you want to do, and you might just have to take it just because like, there's no other option. So with me it was just a matter of like I applied for this and I actually want to do this, because I'm sure about what I want to do. So yeah, I think that's mainly the reason why it's always just been on my mind. Yeah.
Which degree or thing is it that you're planning to do?
I'm studying, okay, two options, software, right?
Yeah,
And zoology. Yeah.
you've always been
Those were the two.
in like animals
Yeah,
things.
yeah, I've been into animals since. The only thing is I didn't realize about having to do zoology in high school was having to take physics as a subject, because it's
Yeah.
a lot of like if you look at bio stuff, but I didn't realize there was actually the physics behind it, like the chemistry stuff that I needed to know, so that kind of caught me off guard. So as much as I was like, ish, the physics stuff, but I'm like, let me just apply for it, as an
Which
option as
subjects?
well.
Which
So
subjects did you do?
I did CAT. Okay, actually before CAT, I actually did life science, physics, hospitality. Um, yeah, that's what I did. Am I missing one? Okay, pure maths, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah. Because when they give you that pamphlet to
yeah,
choose like subjects, right?
yeah.
So they group them to like, yeah, this is
Like the
like
groups, yeah,
science.
specific, yeah,
Yeah. Like so that's why I ended up taking consumers or hospitality as some call it. But then I realized like, nah, that's not what I want to do. It's cool, the cooking and stuff, great skill and stuff, but I wasn't as passionate about it like that.
yeah.
So I ended up like moving to another interest of mine, which was like, cat. Because I found it really interesting and stuff like that, like now with the coding and stuff like that. Not also just computers, but like technology in general. So I just ended up like choosing it. It's like that's cool.
So that means for your metric, then you did physics, life science, and CAT.
Yeah.
When did
Yeah,
you
that's
change
what I ended
from
up.
hospitality to CAT? And yeah, okay, like when did
Um,
you change? When did you change? And then did that change? Was it How was your adjustment? Was it a heavy adjustment after you changed?
the thing is, I changed in grade 11. I think somewhere in the beginning of like term two. Yeah, grade 11, beginning of term two. Because I think after that they kept like giving us time to like change subjects and stuff like that. Because there was a deadline that we would like only allowed to choose subject for from a certain time up until here, and that's it. But then they added it on, so I still had that opportunity to like change that subject. So I went, yeah, I did CAT. I changed from consumers to CAT somewhere early to grade 11. The adjustment at the time was a bit heavy because we were entering exams. We're entering June exams and stuff. So it was a bit heavy. So, but I did adjust to it quite after that. Luckily the teacher I had was like, everything was easy going, it was smooth. So yeah, I did get adjust. At first it was difficult because, in exams and I'm behind, everybody really knows because with CAT is also another thing of like they ask you. I think also same with IT. If some schools have also IT where like they ask you stuff from like grade 10 or
Yeah, yeah.
the year. So it was also a bit of a that adjustment because I didn't know these things. But after the those June exams, that's when I picked up. Yeah, like I picked up better. Yeah.
Which languages were you doing in the CAT? Okay, like what was the CAT structure about? Because on my mind, when I'm thinking of CAT, I'm thinking of you you have like, let's say you have like a computer course in a sense, and then they give you what, let's say they teach you a language first, and then in that language you must do something, then they give you a problem, say
Mm.
solve the problem, solve the mistake. Was it like that or was it different?
No, ours was different. The language part we only did it in the end. Like we did it like last because mainly we did like these softwares. We did Word, we did Excel, we did
Oh, okay,
Access.
okay, okay.
So,
Yeah, that
yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
what we were doing.
So it
Then
was
only after that, the only language we did was HTML. Yeah, we didn't do like CSS and stuff like that. So that's what we basically did. And you solving problem was just like, read the question, kind of like do what it says, like change this into that in Word or convert this into that in Excel or stuff like that. So yeah, I think the one that was like solve the problem, like if there was an actual problem with the whole question or like diagram, whatever it is, it was on the computer. It was on the HTML part because there you could see like,
yeah.
okay, we need to fill in this and that. So yeah, everything
So
else was just like just change the structure of this or convert this to that or fill in this and that. Yeah.
so then CAT was more how to use the computer and then the basic uses of a computer, things like that. Okay, that
Yeah,
makes
basically.
okay. So like now we have okay with from what you've said you're doing, so you have zoology and you have the computer software side, right?
Yeah.
So for those two, you can learn software on the side. So say you get into zoology, you can do
Mm.
computer on the side, but then I'm not sure it's the same for, let's say you do software. I'm not sure if you can do zoology because like what I mean on the side, you can learn by yourself. You can
Yeah,
there are
yeah,
resources to learn on the side. So with zoology, is
yeah.
it so let's say you get in for software, how are you gonna now? What's your plan now with doing zoology? Or you're gonna push it on the side until you can see what you can do with it?
It was just a matter of options, to be honest. I think I would have mainly when if I got into zoology, I would have obviously just learned about the what is it, the coding stuff on the side. That would have been easier. But if I get in for the coding, then it would have just been a matter of options, like zoology here, then software here. But yeah, I think it was just a matter of options, to be honest. It would be easier, I think, if I went in for zoology. That's if they take me for it. And on the side, I
Yeah,
what is
software.
it? Korea software, the software. Because with the zoology, it's the physics and stuff like that to learn to have software first, then try to do zoology on the side. It's the physics, it's
Yeah.
the environmental stuff, the animals. So it would, yeah, I think just a matter of options. Yeah.
We've always been like since I've known you always said you wanted to do like marine or like even in primary, you always had this thing where you wanted to do like a marine biologist or something in biology. And then now it's zoologist. But then I don't know what a zoologist is. So can you explain that part and also like what draws you to it? What draws you to the biology and animals?
So basically, it's the study of animals. Most people think you're just in a zoo trying to like keep animals and stuff. Nah, it's not just that. You actually learn about these things, like they
The habitats and
from from their body, from the environment, why they act that way, literally everything about them. And what drew me to it is, I don't know, it's the only thing I've ever knew as a kid and the only thing I've ever loved. I always found them very interesting, very cool to look at. Like I would mimic the sound that like a lion would make and stuff
can you
like
still
that.
do that or you can't?
Yeah?
Can you still do the roar
No,
that you did? Or you can't.
yeah, no, I don't think I
Can't.
can. No, I don't think I can. But like, yeah, it's been something I've always been passionate about as a kid, like looking at an animal. Like I would watch, what is that channel?
National Geographic.
National. Yeah, that one. I would always watch it. Like I wouldn't mind watching it. I wouldn't get bored, you know. I would like take in the information because I would love to like always explain to someone like, okay, look, a jellyfish this can do that, and like these animals are like this because of that, you know. It's always been my thing. So they're majestic creatures, man. It just also gets you to see the beauty of nature as well. Because, you know, when you're just doing like corporate work and stuff like that, you don't really see these things, you know.
Mm.
But once you're out there, you get to see it like these things, it's vast, man. It's just big. And yeah, yeah, it's just been something with me that like, I don't know, as a kid, I grew up with just always caught my attention and never wanted to let it go. Yeah.
But then it's interesting because for me, because what you were saying, you gave me the idea of understanding now the anatomy of the animals that you're dealing with, and then
Yeah.
let's say their urges, what impulses they get to do a certain to do,
Mm.
let's say to eat, to hunt, to not hunt, the way they hunt, what
Yeah.
so it's I can see how someone can get I can see what could draw you to it. It's just that it's weird for me that from time to time I would go on out of my special animals that I go on and watch because they're interesting. So, like, say, I'd watch about the lion, like your predators. That's what I'd watch about. The lion, maybe you have a jaguar
Predators.
there, and then maybe you have a shark or something. But then what I would be watching was just on the surface level. And I think many people are like that on the surface level, just watching how they move, what they do, it's like you're watching what they do, how they do this, but you're not actually asking the why behind it.
Yeah, the why behind it, yeah.
Yeah, I never really thought of like why do this? Why do they do this? Why did it's always like on the surface. This is how they behave. This is what they do. It's never been why.
Same with like with plants as well. You know, when we just look at plants and like, okay, it's a tree, there's a flowers like that. But like if you ask the why of like why a plant grows like this or why does it have that color and stuff like that, you would start to see it's actually very interesting, you know, that these, you know, like plants have hormones too, you know, and you know, animals, the way they behave when they're together, it's just something cool, you know, like that ecosystem, the biodiversity there in that ecosystem, how these animals communicate and how like the balance of life, you know, helps others and others like kind of get, you know, obviously it's an animal world, so like there's advantages and disadvantages, but like how that all together just makes it amazing.
Have you looked into? Have you looked? Okay, so you have. So let's say in Africa, right? You have the savannah, but then you also
Yeah.
have you have also have. Oh, but you didn't do because what I'm thinking now is geography in the sense that you have biodiversities all over the world,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So, but then have you looked into biodiversity? So let's say in SA, South Africa and Southern Africa in general, you have the savannah. But then in maybe there's also like the marine, let's say in this area, this type of water, this type of how much salt, the salinity in there, that these fishes, the type of fishes, the type of plants that grow there in, let's
Yeah.
say, the Atlantic, let's say, and the different levels of the ocean. And then also, let's say in the forest, what type of animals grow in the forest, in the different forests as well, in the Amazon forest, let's say in the African forest as well. Have you looked into that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I used to look into that as well, you know. That's why watching that channel actually helped me a lot because, you know, I could tell the difference between seawater animals and freshwater animals and like and animals in the Amazon and animals in what else?
Quickly, what's the difference
Okay.
between sea water fish and freshwater fish?
Oof, I kind of forgot to be honest. It's been a while, but there's certain adaptation that these animals have that separate them from fresh and sea. Because if you know, I don't know if you watched any documentaries of evolution, you know, because looking back at it, there's always been a certain adaptation they have when they
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
evolve that separates them from fresh water to salt water,
Salt
you
water.
know. So to be honest. I used to watch these things a lot, like a lot. But yeah, now it's just I'll be yeah, I kind of forgot to be honest. I'll look it up for you and I'll tell you. But yeah, watching that channel, kind of helped me understand that it's like well, not only it's not only the animals in our country. There's like tons of animals, tons of species all around the world, you know. So which was kind of interesting. So yeah,
Because from how I went into it, right, is
yeah,
YouTube. That's how I went into it through YouTube. That's how I went into it. But then when I learned about biodiversities and things like that, I think it was during the COVID era. That's when I 2020, 2021. That's when I went into that's when I started going into things like biodiversity and then space. There's a lot of different areas that I went into. But then
yeah,
there were some things that stood out like the so let's say the different habitats on Earth
yeah,
was was one
yeah.
thing I would read about, let's say when I'd be bored, open a textbook. Yeah, I remember in like grade 5 when that social science book there at the back it flipped, let's say the Sahara is
Oh, I
like
remember.
this. Yeah, the
Yeah,
Sahara is like this, the forest is like this. I think like term 3 is when they talk about the geography of where they stay.
mm,
So I've whenever I was bored, that would be my thing to read. Where I just go into the geography, the different habitats. So you have the savanna is like so. But then when in around maybe 29, 2020, 2021, so when I went deeper into it, then now you're going into, let's say that I know now a much deeper, I now have a much deeper understanding of it because now you have, let's say you have the Arctic, so you have tundras which are closer to, which are dry but not as dry.
yeah,
And then there's also things like ice ages that I went into, which is another fascinating thing. The ice
it
ages.
is.
Yeah. Have you went into ice ages? Because one thing I guess in ice age that is interesting is, or something to bring up is that Russia and America were once connected because, so let's say if the seawater level drops, okay, like later
Mm,
this, there was an ice age and then the seawater level rised. But then before
yeah,
Russia and USA, because that's Alaska, were connected in a,
connected. Yeah,
yeah, were connected. So you could walk from North America to Asia. That was an interesting thing was how ice ages were, and then also
mm,
the ancient civilization. That's how I learned through it. That's how I learned it, that ancient civilization, the ancient structures that were built, the pyramids, etc. So those are always things I read when I was bored, doing nothing, waiting for school to come out. And then now it's just been going more deeper into it.
me, it was just a matter of like, I didn't look at like one thing only. I just looked at, mainly evolution. Yeah, mainly evolution as a whole. From like, the Ice Age, the Triassic period, the Jurassic period as well. So yeah, I looked into those kind of things and how things were before. That's why certain animals can survive in certain environments than others,
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
your way into the ice age was starting from the very start, from dinosaurs and
yeah,
uh,
evolution basically. Yeah. Because sometimes, we just watch TV, like the Ice Age movies and stuff like that. But now, if you kind of look at the actual
yeah.
Ice Age, these movies, you're like, wait a minute. You're like, wait a minute, this is dinosaur stuff. We're just saying these stories, but sometimes you think they're actually trying to tell us something. That's when I look back into like, the dinosaur period and stuff. I'm like, oh, this actually really happened. Mammoths really actually existed. So yeah,
For
it
me,
was,
with Ice, when Ice Age came, I didn't actually properly watch the Ice Age movie. So
yeah,
by the time, for me with mammoths, I sort of knew that mammoths were there was a TV program once where I watched. So like there were like scouts of mammoths, tusk of mammoths, things like that. So
yeah,
for the ice, here's I guess the surprising thing was that I always knew that they were there because like always Like there's like the ice age, like in when they discover fossils, it's always there. But then one interesting thing that I found was like how recently it was. Because apparently it was like maybe just the last recent ice age was 12,700 years ago. So that's the last
Yeah,
recent
yeah,
ice age. So that was interesting in that when you just this when you just go through the if you just go through the cycles, it's just interesting how ice ages ice age and ice the ice ages isn't as far back. Like if you just actually check the numbers, ice ages aren't that far back as you think, and
yeah.
also that ice ages actually have a cycle. So soon enough, we might be in an ice age or approaching an ice age, something like that.
Okay.
So that was
I didn't know you went to cycles though. Yeah.
so, and it was just in the it just all happened during like 2020, 2021 when I was just on
Mm.
YouTube at home and then just
Just
I just
actually
watched
interesting.
because there's like ocean. So I went into things like ocean currents, just climates in general. And
Really?
yeah, because you see with there's a so ocean currents control the weather in a sense. So the type of
Yeah.
cycle that you're in. And then USA, an example would be like USA is roughly the same temperature as Europe is roughly the same temperature as USA, even though they're on
Mm.
separate latitudes. And that is because
Yeah.
and that is because water from the Atlantic Ocean, since it's from the equator, right, it moves up. And then
Oh,
that carries the wind, that warm wind that carries
yeah.
to Europe. And then now that's why Europe is the same temperature. And then it's just it's interesting how so first you just say climate happens, but then once you start looking deeper, then you're like, what actually influences the climate, the winds,
It
and then
does.
so sometimes
The
you have
wind, yeah.
so let's say you have on the in SA, right? Northern Cape is dry because of the cold current that it has, and then Durban is always warm and humid because of the warm current it has, and that's why it has more
Mm.
rain. And then you also have like Drakensberg, which stops the rain from coming to the to
It's
Northern Cape as
interesting.
well. So there's just a lot
Very,
of interesting things that
very
are there
interesting.
I have seen.
It's actually pretty interesting. Like the moment you start like the things, not just only like the everyday things, like your environment as well, like the weather and stuff, like why things happen the way they do. You start to like, when once you find out, you find them actually interesting that, oh, like you said, the wind and stuff like that. Maybe that's why we have this kind of weather and stuff like that. So yeah, it's actually pretty interesting. And what I found interesting, was how the Earth managed to bounce back, like evolution as well. Because I think we had, is it five mass extinctions or six? Yeah, I can't really remember. I think it's maybe five, if I'm not mistaken, probably six. And if you watch the documentary on Netflix, Life is it Life on Our Planet? It's narrated by Morgan Freeman. If you watch that one, you kind of see that like the planet has always found a way to like um bounce back. Like you see how we would like there's a virus we take, what is it, a vaccine or
Yeah.
something to kill ourselves. It's like if things were a disaster on Earth, like the Earth found a way to cure that thing, you know what I mean? From like the storms to the toxic seas to, what else happened? I think it was there was plankton in the seas that kind of killed the marine animals as well. To yeah, the storms and turns out that was it the asteroid that hit the Earth, or was it a meteorite? I think it was an asteroid, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I still don't know the difference between which one is bigger, which one is small. I know the breaking down, but I don't know which one is which.
Right? Yeah, me too. I
Because
kind of
like there's a
forgot.
difference. Let's say it's an asteroid when it's out there, and once it enters the Earth like a meteor, and then a smaller one's like a
Yeah,
meteorite or something like that.
me too, right? Yeah, smaller one. Yeah. But I think that one was an airstrip, and the way it knocked out the dinosaurs is crazy. It was crazy. it doesn't that like that impact that it's not even about like 100 atomic bombs. It's like thousands, 100,000s, that impact of atomic bombs that wiped out these creatures in a single day.
That one, yeah, that with the asteroid as well. Because apparently,
Yeah,
so let's say the last recent ice age, let's say 12,000 years ago. What?
yeah,
So isn't it before Russia and USA were connected, right? And then sea
mm,
levels were lower. But then they were
mm,
in an ice age. So like let's say the ice age now pushed further. So
mm,
ice, ice, right, was now let's say on halfway through USA. So if we
yeah,
just around the world, that's what the ice is. Because ice now is able to grow on land, but not so much on the sea. So
see,
that's why there's more. So if the ice age happens, mostly gonna be on the northern part and then gonna stay there in the north because it's easier to grow on land than on the sea, which is why Antarctica sort of stays where it is. So
oh, okay, that's
yeah, so
cool.
then with that, so we have so they were connected before and then sea levels were much lower. But then
Lower, yeah,
what's proposed, because I watched on Netflix, I watched Ancient Civilizations. So
mm,
what is seen through the way So what is seen through the way is that an asteroid hit an ice cap there, and then
yeah,
that ice cap collapsed everything and then
collapsed,
melted, and then there was a
melted.
then across the world, like there was a catastrophic floods across the world, and
I
then
remember that.
that affected everything and just disaster. And then the interesting thing about that was that ancient civilizations across ancient civilization. So let's say before there could have been an ancient civilization before, but then after that impact now, there were like lessons told from survivors of that where
Mm,
everywhere, let's say you go to South America, you go to Europe, you go to Africa, you go to Japan, the way the tombs are built are the same. And
yeah.
all of them are configured to the star, to the astronomy. So, and all of
Oh,
them
okay,
precisely. So
yeah.
before it's like, let's say his argument is that the common theme is that in with archaeologists, the main thing is that they couldn't be, humans weren't as capable before. They weren't mentally
Before, yeah,
capable before. But then
and also, yeah,
if you just look at the structures that were built and they
yeah,
didn't erode as well, because it's been a very long time since they've been there. The They're built precisely, like some are built precisely astronomical north, precisely, and everything was built to the sky. It's modeled against the sky, the stars that are there. And
yeah,
so it's just but then another thing I find fascinating about Earth is that how the planet is structured. So our planet has continents, right?
yeah.
But then if you look everywhere else, there aren't exactly continents. It's all like rough. So like let's say you have Mercury. I haven't from what I can
Oh,
see,
I
From
see
what
what you
I
mean.
can
Yeah,
see, like all of them is just on Mercury there's rock, on Venus it's always volcanoes, on Mars it's
yeah.
rock, and the rest are just gas giants. But then
Yes,
look
yes.
at Earth. Think about the way the land is structured. Just think about the way the land is structured. It's weird how Earth is the only one that has continents in the way they're shaped.
Continents like that.
Yeah, the way they're
Yeah, the
shaped.
way you
And
see.
it's not just a one surface. It's like this. there's there's a pattern. It's like not a pattern, but they're structured in a certain way.
Yeah, the way they structured in a
Yeah,
way.
the way they're
Like,
shaped.
if you,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. It's kind of amazing. Yeah, it's actually pretty. Yeah, that's a eye opener actually, because you would just think there would always be like that, you know. Only when I found out that actually we had like one big continent, which was what is it, Pangea. I was
Uh,
like,
Pangea.
yeah,
Pangea. Yeah.
Pangea. Some people call it, I don't know, Pangea, Pangea. I don't know. So yeah, most people just think like it was always like that. But when I found out that like it
There were
was,
more different supercontinents before.
yeah, it was like a huge one actually, and the earthquakes. Like imagine an earthquake that separates like that whole supercontinent into like different continents. You would think about the impact.
It just
Like
It's interesting that it just
Yeah,
makes your problem much smaller. It's like, why am I even worrying about this thing?
exactly. But yeah, man, I just yeah, because such things about the environment is also what makes them, I guess for me, for one who does enjoy animals as well, uh, you kind of like them, you fall into them, they're very eye-catching, very interesting, and so much knowledge as well, that you didn't know outside of the usual, like learning about, just, school, corporate world and stuff, but like outside of that, it's just very eye-opening. So yeah.
And what's nice about learning about it is that there's no what I'd call noise in a sense. Because let's
Mm.
say if you go to like school and everything, then you still get that noise of everyone else, everyone's whatever they're doing. Whereas
Yeah,
if you go something separate, so let's say look at the biodiversities, you look at the earth in general, the way its
yeah,
climate is. Like let's say you look at the savannah in the way it's structured, and then you look at the savannah
yeah,
with other things, you start getting a
yeah,
bigger mindset. And from there you look at space in general, then bigger space. It's just and then you
bigger
learn
space.
everything from there. It's just completely different experience.
Because I think is I didn't finish the documentary because I was after watching that one about evolution. I was gonna watch one called Our Universe, the one about the galaxies, stars, and everything.
Yeah.
And apparently there's certain energies from there, from space, that like how certain things on Earth are the way they are, how they react to it, because of there's also that effect from space. So that I still have to watch. I find that actually quite interesting, which is quite interesting. That something that out of this planet still has an effect on the planet. And I didn't know that the Earth, apparently, I think, was formed, was it 4 billion years ago? 4 point something billion years ago, I think.
Yeah,
I think,
I've heard that one.
yeah, yeah, the
It's,
last,
so,
I
so
think
that's,
the last,
that's another interesting thing is that it's 4 billion years ago, but then humans were said to, let's say, be 66, I think, thousand years on the planet, which is like
yeah,
relatively new to the Earth. And like,
it's
I thought
true.
even, imagine 4 billion, we were just
4 billion is
66,000.
a lot.
Man.
And the introduction to that documentary about the universe, it all took place, I think, 13 point something billion years ago. So, yeah, that's actually a pretty long time.
Oh yeah,
Like, if you look at, yeah, it's, 13 point
with
something
the start
billion
of the
years.
universe or something big. Yeah, with the start of the
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like 4 billion years is a very long time. And now looking at we humans are recent, like sometimes you wonder if actually humans are gonna like evolve. Like if you look at because each
Hmm.
animal actually has its own branch of evolution, from chimpanzees to like literally every animal. So I really wonder about that if we're gonna like become, I don't know, humans with 4 arms or something like that, like evolve like that. But yeah, it's very interesting. 4 billion years ago, it's a very long time ago. I don't even think one can even put it to mind how
Yeah,
long it was. Yeah, it's really, really long. So yeah, such knowledge is really cool and powerful too, you know. But
but I
also
never thought
besides,
with humans, I never thought
yeah,
about evolution as in humans evolving, which is because other animals have evolved, but then with humans,
mm,
the humans have sort of set up. For me, I feel like humans are gonna kill themselves out before they,
they evolve.
yeah, because
Uh,
now there's a lot of, because now, given how we've only been on this planet for such little time, there's so many different reasons. There's so many different things you can come up with as to why we could go extinct, and then from our own doing, even
yeah, that's true.
the and that, and then the positive sides is like you need to it needs smart people that like fine tune the comb. But then if you just follow our own instincts, we're gonna go
Yeah,
extinct. That's I've never really thought about evolution, but it is interesting, and also
It
given
is.
even now, even if let's say we don't go extinct, we have like
Mm,
AI now at the back. We have AI now that's building. So like 10,
that's true.
20, 30 years we have AI. We're dealing with AI. So that's
And it's crazy how, that part of AI, it's building. Like some companies release AI and others also want to compete as well. So they release and release. And also, I also read that like I think it was at the robots they're building at Tesla. One of them attacked one of the workers there,
yeah,
which was kind of
I think
scary.
that's I saw that one.
I was like, what? I mean, in the process of like perfecting them and stuff, already they attack somebody. It's just kind of, in a way, it's kind of scary. I mean, like these things are not like perfect yet, for use. And already they attack someone. Like imagine what they could do if, even though they are perfected, which we do see a lot of movies, like we watch movies about the future and stuff. And in a way, I don't know whether it's something we should pay attention to because sometimes we just watch movies because like they're entertaining. But like if you watch all these movies about robots in the future and with AI and robots that we're doing, there's always seems to be an error somewhere, an error in the code. Like for real, like it's just that's why when I saw that about the Tesla robot, I'm like, nah, man, these things have been seen for movies, sharp or they're entertaining, but like, shouldn't we take them into consideration? Because somehow there's always an error with these things, which is kind of scary how they eventually all turn around and just kill or annihilate all the human race. So, which that's how usually the story goes. If not aliens, then robots. So, yeah, yeah. So I don't know, man. When I saw that, I was like, here we go again. Another one. Another one. So yeah, I mean, what else, man, throughout history? Atomic bombs, we had that, World War One, World War Two, the Cold War. Yeah, that's also another thing, man. Especially World War Two. When I saw it
World War
kind
Two
of
is
gave World War,
interesting because
yeah, that one was
for
interesting.
me, because here's what I did, right? I don't because we did World War Two in grade nine, right? But
Yeah.
I don't feel before okay, in grade eight, like I was excited to learn about World War Two because I was watching a show, and then on that show, it was like so. Firstly, you had like before USA and Japan got involved, there
Got
was
involved in.
in the war. So like there was a build. No, I think maybe they were in the war, something like that. But then isn't it? I
Mm,
think Germany, Austria, and I think Turkey was there. Something like that. So
mm,
they had their own allegiance and something. So first was a normal
mm.
war, and then I think
Yeah, it was.
Nazi Germany was losing, right? And then they ended up gaining, about to win. So Nazi Germany
Mm,
was about to, I think there was like one bridge
when
because there's
yeah,
some movies now where
yeah,
there was just one win, one bridge
I
before
saw it.
before they conquered, before Nazi Germany
Yeah,
conquered and would have won the war. That was another thing before they won. And then Britain Britain or France changed that situation around and then
yeah.
ended up winning the war. Whereas and then that wasn't covered in the syllabus as much as I wanted it to
It
be. So
wasn't.
I was
It
disappointed.
wasn't. It was because like also with history, you wanna like if you are a person who's interested, you find it interesting. Like you always want to, I don't know, like know more in a way, Not that like it just ended there. It kind of also gave a picture of how one person can actually go. Oh, my camera. You see, is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. It also kind of gave a picture of how one person had like so much power. Like the fact that he could have conquered the entire of Europe was crazy. And it's not even the fact that it could have, it was the way how it was like
The way he
going country
planned
to
it,
country.
built it, and
Yeah, like how he was actually conquering one country in Europe like after another. It was crazy. Like Diamond Jonas, someone. He was actually going. He was. I feel like that was definition of crazy indeed. Not gonna lie, because
But check
if it
one thing
wasn't
that's
for
okay,
that
but
one moment,
check
yeah,
the interesting part about that was that throughout that whole part, Switzerland stayed
yeah.
neutral. So check
You said,
into Switzerland stayed neutral throughout that whole, I think, two wars. Switzerland was neutral
yeah.
during those two wars. So just imagine
Oh
that there's
yeah,
a whole world
yeah.
war and Switzerland is neutral. So there's like that's another interesting thing is that Switzerland was neutral.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be because of the fear? I mean,
No,
if
but
you
like
think about it,
Switzerland has continued to be neutral. So like whatever fight, and even
yeah.
then, I think another thing that helps Switzerland is the way there are mountains. So they have a lot of mountains, and then they also have a lot of
Oh,
tunnels. So
oh,
any
okay.
other, so they've barricades. So and Switzerland, the worst part about Switzerland is that they're in the middle. So yes,
Mm.
say yeah, Switzerland is in the middle of. So it's next to it's bordering Germany, it's bordering Belgium, it's bordering France.
Oof.
There's like
Oh, I see.
Austria
See,
on the
yeah, okay.
side. So it's like in the middle, but then it stayed neutral. So,
Hey,
well,
yes.
it built up its what's this? Its military power, and then a lot of tunnels in Switzerland now where people could hide military and stuff. So just think about during World War II, it stayed neutral.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. There's actually a documentary on Netflix that what is it? World War Two. I think what is it? World War Two, the front lines, in the front lines, where it actually shows you, and they actually are. I don't know how old they are, but some people when they were young, like in World War Two, are still here today that like told on the documentary
Yeah, yeah.
it actually really happened. Which was kind of crazy. And the propaganda, the
Mm-hmm.
the racism, it was crazy. It was crazy. They actually literally had, I think, yeah, they had like tools, the Nazi, they had tools from like the prisoners they would take where they put it like next to the skin. And that tool had like different shades of color to determine like yeah, it actually had different shades of color to like whether you're white, black, or
Mm.
it actually had different shades. So that's when I realized that it was crazy. It was ruthless. That there was a different state of war. I feel like the war we're having now, like, with the Ukraine and stuff and the Israel and with what is it, the Gaza war as well.
Yeah,
If I were to put it and compare it to World War II, I'm not saying like
yeah. I was saying
it's
it's like,
nothing. People are still
but
dying. That's not, but like that was crazy. And that was
on
crazy.
that note, I'm not sure because let's say the propaganda and everything, it's still the same as it was. So you can sort of make like humanity didn't learn its lesson in a sense, and then it
Mhm.
will never learn its lesson. It always repeats
Yeah.
its because let's say let's say now we're in a modern era, so the past won't happen now because we're in a modern era. But if you look at the
Wouldn't have
past, if you look at the conditions of the past, look at the conditions now, they're not
like
too
repeating.
different. And I guess another
Yeah.
scary thing to consider is that now we're sort of at the age where military, what's this thing? If the military runs out of thing, you could be sent into the military to fight in the war as a
Yeah.
man. Yeah, because now you're at the age where if your nation needs you, then you could be sent. But besides that, the way so with like Hitler and the way Germany was, you have maybe Hitler didn't just rise, right? Hitler's thing
Yeah.
was planned. So from like 1920 to 1932 when he went
Like
1932 years
yeah.
when he was it was planned and everything. And what it took, because let's say 1929, we had the great, what was it? Great market crash, something like that. Great Wall Street
Mm,
crash. So Germany's
mm,
economy was not good at all. And then
mm.
think about 1918 first. First World War, Germany had to pay reparations. That's the first thing. Germany had to pay
Yeah.
reparations. and then now they're building their thing, and then so they're starting to build 1929. Their whole economy collapses, and they aren't able to afford. So then people looked for a different alternative to the way government was run, and then that's when Hitler came in. But then, thing about this that if people thought Hitler was as bad as we see him now, there would be protests and things. So that means but then Hitler was able to stay as the Reich or as the dictator for so long. Tells you that
so long.
there had to be some sort of, so instead of, it's not just top down management, there's also like a bottom up where the people as well, they are they also buy into that nationalism of Germany, making Germany the right
Yeah.
so it's not just the one man, it's the whole nation.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean.
And then taking that in, and then as a side note, even after World War II, Germany and this Berlin Wall, is the Berlin collapse. And even after all of that, Germany is still one of the top economies. That's just one thing I find interesting about Germany.
Crazy.
After all of that, it is still the top economy.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. But that World War II, I think besides World War One and the Cold War, that World War II was something else. I feel like that was war among, all history, that just broke everything, broke the records for like the coldest and craziest war on earth. But also if you look at what is it? Is it the Israelites and Palestine, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
And, the thing that's happening to them now, it's not something that's recent. It's been happening for years, where the Israelites actually built walls, barricaded the Palestinians. Like there were certain roads they're not allowed to use. Like everywhere there was military, they had to have, what is it? The same way we had like, apartheid actually, certain passports and stuff to go. So there was always the Israelites military. The Palestinians would walk on like gravel, and then all the roads and other things belong to the Israelites. So like this war has been happening since. There's actually a documentary. I'll look for it again because I was watching it, but it's just kind of crazy how this has been happening. That now it becomes a bigger thing where the people there have been suffering. Imagine having walls here covered that you're only allowed to use this path, but not with mode of transport. You have to walk. And now imagine your family. Like it's really, it's really
But with that
shocking.
one,
Yeah.
it's much, as a person who didn't know much about it, I think many people didn't know much about the tension between Israel and they just knew that there was tension in between. Even before the war happened, they just knew there was tension in between. So when it happened, for me, I just stayed out of it because there's just no way I can speak on it or just say anything because I don't know. I don't know I don't know the dynamics. And the dynamics are so complex. This is not just a recent thing. It's like I think
This one is actually complex.
Since Bible times it was there. And then I think
this one is actually
the only thing main people are praying for is that more lives don't get lost and then it gets settled in as peacefully as it can because it's hard to see a path forward.
I mean, how do you stop a war that's been happening for like so many years? How do you, to settle in peace for like
But
how many years are we even looking back? So it's kind of a very complicated thing to be like, we hope for peace. I mean, we all do hope for peace that like more lives don't get, taken away. But for it to be settled, that war, to call it a truce, I mean, how would that even begin, man?
like even
How would
people
that
on
even?
the subject, I don't think have an answer to that. But it's better it's better it de-escalating than escalating. Because if it
That's
escalates,
true.
it's gonna get worse. So, but in whatever shape or form, as long as it
Yeah.
de-escalates. Because now, as worse as it's
Yeah.
getting now, if the whole Middle East is getting involved, then now you have
Mm,
now it's
mm,
much. So let's say Lebanon
mm.
is getting involved, Yemen is getting involved, Saudi Arabia might get dragged into it, Iran, Iraq might get dragged into it, and then now you just have Europe, USA is already dragged into it, and then
Long time.
so yeah, so like, if it could
Yeah.
easily turn into a world war,
Yeah.
and
That is something.
so that's
Where,
why
where would South Africa be? Would South Africa be like, yo, you're not here? Where would South Africa
I don't
be
know
like,
because
yo, we're
they
not here?
are actually no because there was a recent report that South Africa was supporting Palestine or something.
Mm,
South Africa was getting involved or something. So there was a thing there. But the
mm.
only thing I can say that we hope to, I just realized we hope for it to get involved, but America's getting its 2024 elections end of this year. Then you have
Oh
China and
yeah.
Taiwan. There's still a China and Taiwan thing that USA is in, and then America's president, who becomes president, is important for this
Mm.
whole thing, given America's position. So
Isn't Donald
2024,
Trump bouncing back?
yeah.
Isn't Donald Trump? I think I saw Donald Trump wants to bounce back to presidency.
But even with Donald Trump, there was there's a huge so a recent thing is that in Colorado, which basically is the eastern, I think it's the east, would it be the east, no, the western part of it. So I think around Los Angeles, Florida,
Yeah.
that part of, well, in Colorado, the Supreme Court ruled him not
Mm,
eligible to participate in the voting. So basically the government is saying Trump can't participate on the ballot, can't be on the ballot. He's banned from the ballot. That was what I think I read.
yeah.
So yeah, it's that's another sort of tense thing happening.
Yeah, the things that happen around the world is is crazy. And there was another thing about aliens. Do you believe aliens exist?
From what I've read into it, there hasn't been any.
Yeah.
For me, I'm in between because if you don't find aliens, like where are they? If you do find them, what now? Type of thing.
Like what now? Yeah, okay, that's yeah.
So, like so, you
Yeah, yeah.
literally have to, so if you find them, it's like literally ask yourself, what now? Hopefully, so first thing between them, are they more superior than us? Are they less? If they're
Mm,
less superior, that's greater for us, just
yeah.
in general. But if they're more superior, that's firstly, where were they hiding?
That's
If they're more superior, where were they hiding? One,
but also
that's
another question is like, why are we looking for them? Like why are we I mean, I know we want to know what's out there, but like you said, we find out out there, then what? Like what do we want to do? What is it that
I
we're
think then
trying
it
to
goes
do?
back to the first question. Where are they?
Yeah.
Where are they? Because we can't be like we're talking about like Earth in a sense. Is Earth has survived for so long. It is that
Yeah.
notion of it can't be the only thing that survived. So where are
Yeah, I
they?
guess we
The first question is
yeah.
like, where are they? Given how special and unique Earth is, where are they? The second part is like, what if you find them? What now? So is that so? It's like you're
Yeah.
wrestling. So that's why I am with aliens.
Yeah. I don't know. There was one trend I think I saw on Twitter. But I think maybe it was fake news where it was trending about aliens where was in Miami. In Miami there was uh a large like call for police around like I think there was a mall somewhere and like the lights were shut down and some people say they saw eight to there were about 8 to 10 foot aliens apparently. However, there was nobody who actually took like a closer zoom, like, into it. even though there was like one way kind of showed like maybe how the aliens were, like they looked weird, man. It's like kind of walking on four legs, So apparently, but I don't know. There was another video as well that cleared up that there was like no, there was like there was looting, there was violence, I think what is it? There were shootings or something with teenagers shooting each other with like fireworks or something. So there was a lot of things happening. So people kind of found it strange that like why would police be there? Firstly, for like I think the four teenagers that were busy shooting each other. Only later to find out that like, oh no, it wasn't just them, but it was like there was looting, there was, other people fighting within that area as well. So yeah, I don't know like why we, but why do we entertain these things though, like aliens and stuff? Are we looking for something to like, I don't know,
I
not
think
blame?
with aliens, you can't. I've gotten to realize you as a so let's say so that curious that just it's a curiosity that grabs you. So if you're the type of person who's just interested in like what's out there,
Mm,
you just can't help yourself. So like you're interested in zoology, you just can't help yourself to just dive into it. I can help myself just dive into technology and things like that. So it's just
I
like something
see.
you dive into. But then with aliens, if they were to where I'm standing from, if they were gonna be discovered, they're not gonna happen in the movie format where it just like hit somewhere and then there's like a big thing. So in movies they're
Mm,
like they just so let's say an alien lands, you want to take over your planet, you want to negotiate.
mm,
I don't
mm.
see it happening that way. So if something happens that way, it's either it's a definitely a geopolitical thing where countries are fighting or something like that because
Yeah.
there's a lot of because let's say the weapons we're knowing about now. So let's say cybersecurity was developed in the 1950s, 1960s, 70s. Many
Mm,
things that are coming up to light right now, which were like top secret, which are like, which would think, so many things we just say, because like cybersecurity is an example, the type of cybersecurity
mm.
that's had, like 1960s, 1970s, that's when it was first developed. And then
Okay.
like
Yeah.
UFOs, whatnot, they were first developed a long time ago. So, but then think about so now you sort of like drop your guard because you know about them, but just take the time to think. They were developed in 1970s, 1980s, with
Mm.
1990 past 2000, 2010s. We're now in 2020s. That's like 4 decades already, 40 years. And you best believe there's something developing. There's countries are developing things somewhere that you don't know about that are top secret. And
Yeah,
just
that's
think
true.
that's 4 years, and just think about the way cell phones have exploded, internet has exploded. You best believe
Mm,
that there's something hidden top secret that they're hiding that's
mm.
very, very big that you don't know about. That you're just saying, oh no, there's nothing because it has developed. So for me, if something were to happen that's big, probably come from another nation because there's going to be that develop. There's no way they're not developing anything. Because
That's
if you
true.
can't, because if you can't develop, then another country develops. They're gonna take over your country. So you have to develop, and you're gonna keep it top secret for other nations not to find out. So there's in the public eye, there's probably like maybe 10, 20, 10, 10, 20 years behind just on the true technological
That's true.
sophistication.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I wouldn't rate aliens as that, as more gonna be like a something that we see them coming in because
Mm,
another reason is the sophistication of satellites. But then I just see it that way. I just find if aliens were to communicate, if you're a life force communicating with another life force, it just makes sense to come slowly. And even if you attack, if you come in a attacking manner, then they're gonna attack you. But then if you're looking for a like a conversation, a mutual agreement, then they wanna come
yeah.
slowly, not trying to cause much shock and things like that. That's the way I see it happening.
That's okay. I understand what you mean. I get. I get
And
it.
I guess
But
if like wait, before that, if you have
yeah.
an alien life force that comes to Earth before we go to them, that means that the alien life
Mm.
force is much more superior than us. So they
Yeah.
so there's also like things where were they hiding? There has to be. It makes more sense for a much more superior life force to come with a mutual agreement. Even if there's like ulterior motives, it just makes more sense to not spark in a like fire or not spark violence immediately because
Yeah,
this is another life force that you have not discovered type of thing.
that's true. But I don't know, man, with the whole aliens thing, man, there's always, I don't know, the most country mostly, there's been, I don't know, a lot of conspiracies, a lot of theories. It's always the US. Like, I don't know why. In war, the US.
Okay,
Conspiracies, the
but then wouldn't you say it's the US because of how open the US is? Because you don't know what's happening in China, you don't know what's happening in North Korea, you don't know what's happening in Russia. Most of what you hear is leaked, and then if you leak information in those countries, you're gonna get killed. There's gonna be something very bad that's gonna happen to you.
Yeah, okay, now I hear what, yeah, boss, yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean, yeah. But yeah, man, me, aliens believing, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if there is something out there that exists. I think, like you said, man, the question is, uh, do we have such things like that? Other life forms, like with planets as well. Like, why is Earth the one
Yeah,
with continents? Yeah, built like that. I think also that maybe could have been the question how maybe all this started as well, like exploring planets, galaxies to see what's out there. But I hope we can deal with whatever it is we find. Like, like seriously, we find them, but if they're not so friendly, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's just a matter of like we find it, then hopefully we can deal with what we find. Yeah,
yeah. We just there's a lot of once you take the. It's funny because like these were like things you think about in grade six. We were thinking about these things before like before you hit like maybe grade 10 when you're worried about your career. These are things you think about just normally.
yeah,
Like what if and then you just start to lose that. I think that's a nice thing
yeah,
about doing. I guess the nice thing about doing a side project in the form of YouTube is that I could easily explore these things. If it makes enough money, I could easily explore these things. And I guess
yeah,
that's the nice one part about it. But then if you just take the veil off, if you just like step outside of this big this sort of cycle that you run into, you just step outside of it.
yeah,
It's like life comes back again and you're back to thinking about the usual.
yeah. Anyway, like certain things repeat themselves, ain't it?
Instead of now you're back to your original creative cycle and imaginary cycle. So that things and just start flowing again. And it's interesting to
Yeah.
think about and you see where they're going.
I guess maybe also with the saying, like history has also found a way to repeat itself. So yeah,
But I feel
I
history is
say,
always with humans, history is always gonna repeat itself.
you
So
know, yeah.
because
As
there's
long as we
always
don't learn our lesson, then
huh?
I think yeah,
As
it's
long as
gonna
there's no what?
repeat. I think as long as we don't like learn our lesson, mistakes, in a way they might repeat again.
But I say they're always gonna repeat again because we're never gonna learn from our mistakes. That's my view. Because the things, let's say, the things, let's take high school, for example, right?
Mm.
I went to high school, you went to high school. Let's say younger family members now are going to high school, the friends, let's say our friends, their younger family members are going to high school. They're still gonna deal with the same things that we dealt with. We have lessons, but then they're still gonna think the same way we thought, in a sense.
Yeah,
And then
I
you
see.
can
That
tell
makes
them,
sense.
let's say, if you think of telling a teenage, let's say someone who's 15, 16, in the middle of puberty, they're not gonna listen to you most likely. If they're in it, they're not gonna listen to you. And then it's
Yeah.
much that thing about it, that's a teen, right? And a teen
Mm.
has all over. But then even in adults is the same. In adults it's worse, actually. Because it's not
How so?
with a teen you can understand because
Mm,
there's a lot of things going on. Whereas with an adult,
mm,
with adult, everything is much more kept in. You know, everything is
mm,
much. They
mm,
keep everything in. It's like a blanket that you so like there's a blanket that they have. Then they say you have a blanket, and this is everything that they're dealing with, right?
mm.
Everything. Let's say the
But is it
pride.
like a berry of some sort?
Hmm? Okay, so like let's
Would
say
you say like,
like in their
yeah,
own personal space, in a way, they have their um own thoughts, the way they think themselves, the own what they get confidence
yeah,
from,
yeah, okay.
what they get, what they hold pride in, what their self-esteem comes from, everything, the childhood, teen, everything like that. So
Mm,
they hold on to it more than 18 would, because with a teen, everything is new. Whereas in an adult, they know
true.
what they're doing. So they would
You
fight.
know what they do.
So they would fight to the end with that thing. Whereas 18 would, nothing's working out. So let me just hear from you because I tried
Mm,
everything. Nothing. Whereas as an adult is not going through the same mental, emotional process that a teen is going
yeah,
through. Everything's
the
just
teen
much.
goes to.
They already it's thought out, processed, and
Mm,
everything. They chose to do things the way they're doing, so they're gonna stick to it longer. So when you
yeah,
bring,
yeah,
so let's say from an outside perspective, you bring your own different view. They're much that's clashing with them, and you don't give them you don't say it in the right way. They're much more likely to hold on to their own self, and then
yeah,
and it's also much, let's say, once you're older, like everything it feels like you don't know what I'm dealing with, type of thing. So let's say
yeah.
a heartbreak happens, like no, you don't. This let's say heartbreak happens. No, this girl was different. You don't understand,
Mm,
type of thing. Whereas someone older would understand, but then everything feels different to you, so you won't learn
different,
the
yeah.
lesson. Let's say you get money, you're now at the top. You say, nah, I just another comment is like you say, nah, that was an old time ago. We're in the new era. Those such things don't
Mm,
happen. And then
mm.
you do what they did before, and
We do
then
what they did,
something
yeah.
hits, and then now you're back to where they were, type of
Well,
thing.
one, yeah,
It's like the emotional side always gets a person. The emotional the emotional side is always something that gets people whatever era they're in. So from Greek, so let's say from ancient times, moving on
to
to present
now.
civilization, the emotional side will always get a person, and that's always going to be the area of control that humans in general will fail in. So that's why for me,
Mm,
whatever era people are in, they're always not going to learn their
mm,
lesson, and people are more emotional than logical, and it's much more glamorous to be in the emotional side than to be focused on your
yeah,
emotional, than focus on the
yeah. It's
logical.
easy to make impulsive
Because
decisions too.
because the logical things are more boring. So you won't focus on them because
Mm,
they're boring. So
that's true.
that's what I'd say. Humans will always repeat their mistakes.
That's a fair point, actually. Yeah, I think some would argue the same thing. If I look at it that way, possibly, yeah, I think so. Because it's so easy to make impulsive decisions. Not necessarily always thinking ahead, even though we might plan things ahead, but not necessarily thinking them properly ahead. You know what I mean?
And
So
also like
yeah, I guess.
once you get your hit, let's say you do an impulsive decision, you get
Mm,
you're the man now. Once you're the man,
mm,
you're not going back until you get your drop. Until you get your fall, you're not most people won't listen. There's like a certain threshold where after that point you're not listening to anyone until the fall happens. Then once the fall happens, you're like, I made a mistake. Then the same mistake you made to someone 100 years ago made.
yeah, nah, I see. Yeah, in a way, in that way, I think that part, like throughout history, has been repeating a lot. Yeah, it's always been repeating it. Yeah, it's actually quite interesting when you put it like that. Yeah, yeah. I see, I see. Huh. But throughout history, man, the world, there's always like a lot going on in a way. Yeah, there's a lot going on. And some of these things they knew now, but they've been there like forever, been there a long time ago, you know. like such as with this war with Palestine and stuff. It's like with fashion, like how, especially when we use like, for example, Crocs, right? Crocs now, I think, but back then it was just a
As a
shoe.
normal thing.
Exactly, like it was just, it's just a shoe. But now
um,
it
everywhere.
becomes a thing. Yeah, there's a lot of things that like happening in our world now, but like these things happen, long time ago as well. And like when you put it into your perspective that like history has a way of repeating itself, because of I guess the emotional side, it's easy for us as humans to make errors, impulsive decisions like that, We can like plan ahead, but we don't really think ahead,
Like it's easy.
like
It's
properly.
like no. I think what I've realized is that it's everyone can plan ahead, and most people do. But then once once you're in it, that's when that's when you that's when like everything is made, and that's when you can't plan the action and the pain is gonna come through the action.
Mm,
So even if
mm,
so even with me, right, I'm doing the newsletter, the podcast and everything, I'm editing it, everything. That's what I'm doing. But then I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna say you should do it because I know the I know the pain, but then it's not pain in the sense of it's it's pain in the sense of you're fighting your mind. So your
yeah,
mind,
yeah, okay.
so whatever. So it's like it's not pain in the sense of the physical pain that you feel, but then your mind is like a it's like an invisible force that's just stopping you from not wanting to do that thing.
Mm,
Especially let's say you're committed to a goal and then you have that goal, and then from there you're working towards it. Like after, let's say you're a week in, 2 weeks in, there's gonna be
mm,
that thing that's just stopping you. You wanna push, but then it's pushing back. So you're pushing, it's pushing back. And
mm.
so things like that, even if like when you're in there, things just happen. Like even isn't you see before we were talking about you always, let's say you push things forward, you say, I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna create something, side project or something like that. When
Sure.
you,
Yeah.
let's say, when you move from the high school cycle into the varsity cycle, there's more responsibilities in the varsity cycle than there were in the high school cycle. So you just end up
Mm,
in that there's just so many more things to consider that I'd, I'd say there's so many things to consider that it's understandable that people don't make that that things won't go as planned because there's just so many unforeseen things that just come up. You can't. It's like life happens. It's, that's my definition of life happens.
I see, I see, I see. Yeah, that's true. But does like history, I don't know, history as a subject or teaching history, does it still have value in like our world, you know?
And
Because in my
history
school,
for me, history as its own. Yes, history, history as something you're learning on yourself. Like
mm,
everyone should learn history. That should be non-negotiable on the side. Everyone should learn. Of
yeah,
course, there's some people who won't do it, but the best thing you can do for yourself one of the best things you can do for yourself is learn history. That's for me one of the best things. It just puts so many things into perspective. But
mm,
as a subject, that's that's dangerous. That's not dangerous, but that's hard for me because generally with the school system, it's you're going into school, then you're going to school to be productive in the market. That's what school is for,
exactly, yeah,
right? And then
yeah,
with the way history, first of all, for me, it's like, what are you gonna do with the history thing that you have? That's where
true.
I'm sitting with as a subject, the way you start in
It's a
school.
subject.
What are you gonna do with history as a subject? Whereas if it's taught, so let's say you have your main branch to add value to the market. So you have your maths, You have your physics, because physics definitely helps in the way you view the world. Like from a young age,
Yeah,
from a young age, just say grade one
yeah,
to grade seven, you have the usual things, you have the
physics.
main things. So maths, English, how to speak a different language as
Yeah.
well. That mainstream is okay. But then I sort of see, then now you also have to add the side things. Because then one thing I heard from like my grandparents and like my mom and the parents, like my parents in general, the curriculum they were doing, they had
Mm,
the normal things, but they also had like knitting on the side. They had trades that they could do. So they're like knitting on the side,
mm,
some working with wire, some working with, let's say you could learn welding on the side, you could learn some electro. So even if you have this main thing, you have things that you're learning on the side. So so from then on, you're guaranteed to be useful because you don't have a skill that you're learning. Even if you're not in the main thing, the main things are important to know because it's just like basic. It just allows you, it just makes your
basic.
life easier to work with on a basic level. But then once you have the side things, whatever you fall in love with, you can basically go into branch. You can do whatever because you already have the skill. So with history, I would put it as one of those branches.
Things, yeah.
Because actually, I think history, I wouldn't put it as I don't think it works as a subject taught in school.
Or
Because,
is it maybe modern days, like times are changing as well? Because in my high school, you had grade 8, 9, social science. Obviously, there's history and geography. But from grade 10 until 12, you don't have history, it's just geography, you know, which I was kind of like, but then what's the point? You know, like grade 8, 9, I have history, but eventually, even if I don't pick geography, right? But for those who uh were into the whole social science thing and they were like, okay, maybe there is like history once I get to grade 10, but only to find out this geography. You know, it's like what's the point? You know what I mean? So yeah, but I also think I don't know, are times changing, you know?
but even if times are changing, history is important. But you also have history. There's a thing like with history that only like maybe 90% of what's written is 90% of history is lost. But then
Yeah,
But then even history-wise, what are you gonna record? I guess. Even if I was an archaeologist, what are you going to record? And even when you record it, you can't. Where are you gonna store it in such a place that it won't be eroded or weather patterns? Given how we were talking about how like just this planet is, the disasters that happen here, like waves taller than you can imagine, storms, things like that. You
mhm,
can't. So from someone writing history, I understand it's if you look at it from someone, it's understandable. But then history as a subject, history as a subject is hard, especially given the way the school system is. And
is yeah,
because
that's
okay,
true.
from the way I'm thinking of history is everything that's happening around the world. So from and not just in history, not just of the not, not just of humans, but of what's
Mm,
happening. History, because I take history as like we're talking about Earth is 4 billion years ago, and then
yeah,
Earth 4 billion years ago, you have dinosaurs, you have the animal ecosystem, and then you also have like with the stars and the universe, 13.7 billion years, and you have places, different types of places. So let's say
mm,
for me, I won't go into animals as deep as you would, but I'm gonna go
yeah,
into geography, astrology much more than you would. So for me, is that
mm,
there's gonna be things that I'm gonna be much more interested about history in than you would, and then vice versa. So is that type of so history that's taught in school is much more closed. There's a certain thing you miss the bigger picture in a sense. So that's I say
yeah. I feel like
it
it's
should be a
also
personal
missed.
thing
Like what?
because
Yeah,
once it's personal, then you can branch off into many things, and
mm,
you just learn. You can or you sort of figure out. You just randomly stumble upon things. So let's say you're learning about geography, but then in geography you learn about this person did this in this time. Now you're learning about humans.
Yes,
You're like,
yeah.
oh, I didn't know that, and then you just hop around.
Yeah, like the history part of it. Yeah. But like, I don't know. Okay, I get that point. You know, maybe besides that, or maybe besides that times are changing. But like the way our school systems are, let me just say high school specifically. I'm not in uni yet, but I would ask you for that. But like let's say mainly with high school, like curriculums and the way we learn things or certain like topics in certain subjects, is there a way for like those things to change? Because like you would kind of know, like for example, if your sibling, right, going to your the high school you're in, and let's say she does the same subject as you did, you would kind of know like it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Doing this over and over, it's like learning. It's like there isn't a change. There isn't really. Not to say there isn't. For some schools, they are, but like it's always just been this. Like we're learning this thing,
Mm.
like generation after generation. Yes, maybe some things might change, the curriculum might change, but mainly it's always been this, and this thing has always been moving in a cycle. But I don't know. I sometimes wonder if maybe that would change, because once you get into like high school, you meet people with, high school is also another place where you meet different characters, besides university, where some people always, you get those people who always see like the bigger picture in things,
Yeah.
not like what we're learning,
Mm.
not just to limit like what we're learning. They always see the bigger picture in things, like the characters in physics, like we are just focused on that topic and that subject we're doing in physics or bio, but then you get someone else who always looks outside of that, and I wonder if is there a way for like, I don't know, our schools rather, instead of always just being this, like we also just branch out a little bit, that we also see the bigger picture. Because it's only when you get maybe to uni and stuff, you think that okay, there's a bigger picture to things. But maybe also in uni, it's also the same thing where like it's you're learning that, but the generation before you was also been learning that and stuff. There's maybe a few people, or maybe even lecturers too, that also see the bigger picture in things. But that thing you guys have been taught or learning, it's always been this. Besides it maybe changing after a few years, but it's always repeating in a cycle. You know what I mean?
Mm. With there are a few angles, right? As a if we're going into the school system, the way it
Mm,
is, the way it's structured. If you're in the STEM field, which is the science, technology, engineering, and maths,
mm,
there's no, you can't, what's nice about them is that my younger sibling learns what I'm learning. It's the same, it's a type of content that doesn't change. Not like one day I'm gonna wake up and then 1 + 1 = 3. It's not. It's always been 1 + 1 = 2. It's always been 2 + 2
yeah,
equals 4. It's always multiplication. It's always there's always been there. So with whatever
mm,
STEM science, it's always uh, the sun, solar system, the world
yeah,
is flat, etc. So there might be some arguing that the Earth is flat, but for me, I'm gonna stick with the Earth is round. We have
yeah,
the planets that we have, asteroids. So those ones you can't, you don't need to change. They're always they're fine. They've been iterated and sort of worked on for so long that they are efficient. They're efficient enough in what they do. So you can't. So even if you were trying to change the way maths is taught, maths is taught good enough that
okay,
people are able to follow the flow properly. That if from
yeah,
SA you move, you can still go to USA, you'll still understand the same content. That's with
understand.
that.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah. With
I guess with the science, but I think what I maybe from like the knowledge that, the school provides, like how you were learning about, what did you say, World War II,
Mm.
and realize you didn't get the full,
Yeah,
content
yeah.
about
With
it,
with those ones, with
yeah,
those
those
ones,
kind of things.
with like I guess English is the same because it still also sort of falls in that strain line.
Mm,
But once you get into subjects, once you get into the arts, okay, not the arts, but like once you get into the wider world outside of that, which is what I'd call it.
yeah.
Once you get into a wider world, so we have this system that we have. So let's say the subjects of the wider world, you say politics is modeled in social science, geography, or like meteorology is modeled in geography,
Mm,
biology is modeled in like geography and NST. Then many things are modeled in the system that we have. And then as
mm,
you branch out, that's when it starts front. But that's when I feel if we're talking about changing the school system, that's when if I if I were to think about it from because the person who change it is say, the minister or it's gonna be someone in a political space. That's when I feel now the education system becomes more political because now it's not about now when it comes to the school system, the ranking of the school system will depend. Now it's gonna be this nation's so let's say SA's school system against maybe USA school system, UK school system, China school system. So now mature daily. So whatever you can't just change it freely because now if you change it freely, now let's say someone passing grade 12, the standards of because let's say in grade 12, right, you pass, then your standard now determines can you go to Harvard or not. Say you now you're like a top learner, can you go to Harvard or can you go to Oxford or not? Can you go to Ivy League college or not? Then that's determined based on the ranking of the education system that you have. So
mm.
uh, even if it was like, how are you gonna change that? So now, how are you gonna change that? If you take that, how are you gonna, as someone in that position, how are you gonna change that? If you change that, it becomes, it starts to tinker with that.
Right.
But then, of
But
course,
why not also look at our
hmm?
country as well? Like, why not also look at our country as well? And I understand the political view you mentioned, like with USA and China stuff, but maybe to change it in a way that like, okay, sharp, our country is struggling with this and this, and maybe we have more of this, but we need also this, we have more of this, we have less of that. But because, every time, when it comes to school, I feel like you get many people who's like, for example, I want to be a doctor or stuff like that, right? Not to say that we have, I don't know if we have more of that, but like there's also other aspects in our country that are like missing. You know what I mean? Other roles, other careers as well. Maybe just look at it in that space. Or like, okay, not that I'm changing it because of like maybe other countries to do it like the same system as they are doing it because like okay we are behind but like we can't just change it all of a sudden but maybe look at our country be like okay sharp times are changing this and this is happening we have maybe more of this and we have less of that or like we have more of this and in the few years we're gonna have less of that why not just open that space you know what I mean.
so I don't want to take the view that SA is behind because
Yeah.
now now it's like there's also economics now, first world, third world, and all that came from and everything. But then the reason why I don't wanna, there's also like an economics given, like where that came from and everything, looking into it and
Mm.
everything. But then besides that is now that I don't see it in such a sense that SA is different than we can't.
Okay.
My point is we can't be chasing. We can't be a second UK. We can't be a second USA. We can't be a
Yeah,
second.
because
We can't because those countries don't have the diversity we have. They don't have the people we have. They don't have. the ways we see. They also don't have the problems we have. They don't have the same history we have. So let's say in USA,
True.
you have the fights between like white Americans and black Americans or whatever,
Like American.
natives, etc. The way they classify their history, not the
Mm.
same as our history. We speak about our history much more easier than they do, etc. So, and SA has a lot of good points. Like there's sort of like so you might say that America now is struggling from a point of being too progressive, too
Mm.
too progressive, too whatever. Whereas with us, we're sort of in this okay spot. We're not dealing with problems as much as they are. We're
Mm.
not dealing with as many luxury problems as they are.
Yeah, like yeah.
So that's why I don't wanna, because then now we're pushing to a point where we wanna be like them,
Be like
advance to
yeah,
a point where they are when some of these things don't make sense. When some of the things happening that don't make sense because of how much advancement they have. So now you're
yeah.
pushing.
That's true. Yeah.
Whereas some things are normal in SA and they're okay that way. So that's why I don't wanna view it in the sense that they are in front.
Mm.
Whether we
No, I
if
get what you mean.
yeah. The school system, right?
Yeah.
Um, so you have the advancements. So that's why with essay is fine. Essay, I'd rather see from a perspective that we're a different country. We should optimize for different qualities. But then
Mm.
given the school system, after being out of the school system, grade 1 to 12 is actually not bad. From the way I see it, it's actually not bad. If you take the
Mm.
normal maths, physics, life science, you're sort of on par with other. So for me, on that, even the English, and it's not bad. Like if you don't cram pass and forget, like most people do, and you actually learn the
Yeah.
content, it's not bad. And then it's not like China's China, of course, is optimized. There are some countries in Asia that are optimized for like your maths, your physics. So if you look at the lifestyle, you wouldn't, as someone said, you wouldn't want their lifestyle because they wake up, do their meds, sleep, do their meds. That's why they're able to get the qualities that they have. It's like this, they put the sacrifice in for that. So
Yeah.
sure, but then it's not like everyone in America is as smart as meds. Like meds wise, not like everyone in America is as smart as we think they are. There are some people that just don't like meds, aren't good at meds at all, which is that's
Mm.
just how. So it's not like there's the gap now between what we think it is and then what it actually is. So there's another part. But then grade 1 to 12 is not, I don't, from what I'm seeing, it's not that bad. So given the way it is, it gives you a lot of range, what you can do and what you're learning about.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say
Yeah.
it's not that bad. And then what you do, the problem is, I guess, the options after that. That's the main, that's perhaps, I get, okay, there's two problems that I see. First one
Mm.
is there aren't enough people passing, there aren't enough children passing going from grade 1 to grade 12. That's the first part is that
Okay.
esp- that from grade 1 to 12, there aren't enough children passing. And
All
that's,
right. Yeah.
yeah. And then and then the second point is that even after you pass, there aren't many options that you can go to. Because
True.
now, let's say now there are like maybe private varsities, like you get your Belgian Eduvos, whatever, besides the normal varsity that you have. But then even after that, if you just have those things, and then maybe you also like maybe have your trades and whatnot, they aren't
Mm.
they aren't known. That's my thing. They aren't known. So especially, and I think one thing I realized is that so we went on holiday, like a road trip, sort of, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what I realized is that moving from Gauteng, right, to like a separate province, yeah,
Mm.
without as much people there, we aren't as much, let's say, not being in a capital like Pretoria or Johannesburg, because those,
Yeah.
or like Cape Town, because those capitals compete with other capitals around the world. So not being in the
Yeah.
capital. So once you move out of the capital like that and like maybe stay 1 or 2 days in a more remote place, then there is like that's when information doesn't reach those places because information is just in this big hub of big cities and in just that it's all concentrated there and then it's almost like you see in some stories or some books or some movies where you have the elites and then you have not haves. So
Yeah,
class and
yeah,
status wise, you could put it like that. But then the nice thing is that someone from a let's say a lower class can move to the higher class through education.
high class.
Yeah, can
Yeah,
move to education. So you get into varsity, get it enough, and then from there you can get a scholarship. And then from there, hopefully the bursary gets you a job and you're sort of out of it. So which is why from grade 1 to grade 12, if you sorted there, you're good. But then the opportunities, the all them big thing I've seen is that all of them are concentrated in your big cities. And that's once you move out, you can hardly see there isn't it's so it's remote that you can't there isn't much options for you to do. There's not much option for you to expose yourself to so many things around. That's another
mm-hmm.
thing is that once you look outside the other things, there isn't that much.
Okay. That's yeah. I do see it though. Yeah, I do see it.
So for the last topic of the episode, what's
Yeah.
on your bucket list? What are the things that you want to do in your life?
In my life, it's a lot of things. I wanna try filming. I wanna try filming. I don't know. It's just something that's been, besides like animals and like technology stuff. I like the creative part of it, like filming. Not just, it's one thing to watch a movie and be like, yeah, it's nice, but like the creative part, like the behind the scenes, the directing and the writing, I find that very eye-catching. Yeah. So yeah, I want to try maybe filming, I don't know. And who knows, maybe one day I might try, do my own podcast on YouTube as well. But that's, something to think about like later in future. I wanna go into also like see what I can do, business wise, working with companies or starting my own, you know what I mean? Starting a business of my own. But I'm not exactly sure yet what goods or what service I might provide. But it's something that's been on like my list too. And then definitely bucket list travel. Yeah, I feel like that's a big thing, not just to see what it is, how it's like actually in other countries, but I want to start maybe in my country first, to see other provinces, because I've only been to KZN, Malanga, obviously Limpopo, don't ask why, it's just obvious. So yeah, um, yeah, so travel as well, then yeah, I think that's yeah what I have so far. Yeah,
So the ones you're missing then is gonna be Eastern Cape, Western Cape. Have you been to Free State?
I think I have.
So
Um,
it's just the Capes.
uh,
If you have, then it's just the Capes. It's gonna be Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and then Northern Cape.
like, I haven't been to Eastern Cape, Western Cape. I've
And
been to Northwest as well. Yeah, the Eastern
but then
Cape,
there's
Northern
Northern Cape
Cape.
as well.
Yeah, I haven't been there. Oh, yeah, Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, Western Cape. I think those are the ones I haven't been. Free State, I remember going, I don't remember where exactly, somewhere in Bloemfontein, but it was many years ago. I don't remember who we were visiting, but yeah, I think I've been there, yeah. But definitely Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, and Western Cape. Those three I haven't been to yet. And then I think after that,
You'll see the
um,
wider world.
try, yeah, the world as well. But also going to those provinces, like try. like the different foods they have there. You know, that's another thing as well. The type of foods, because sometimes going into each province, like we not only Limpopo, Gai, there's a certain culture perhaps as well. So learn that too, before going outside so you can see really how your country is, then go that side. Yeah. That's what was on my bucket list.
I think food-wise, I'm weirdly acquainted with all parts of the food in SA. Because isn't it one side of my parents is from Western Cape, Cape Town, and then
Yeah,
another part is from Limpopo, and then we're in Gauteng. And then
yeah,
generally when you're like, let's say traveling down to family, you go through, let's say, Eastern Cape, sometimes you go to Western Cape, sometimes let's say you go to Northwest and come back. Then it's
yeah,
like sometimes you just wanna see what, and also have like friends who are Zulus as well. So
yeah.
yeah, family friends who are Zulus as well. So we also have that. So I'm really acquainted with all the foods in SA because
Yeah, that's cool.
I sort of know all the.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
But yeah,
But also on your
SA
bucket list.
SA cultures are different. They're interesting
Yeah,
as well. Bucket
yeah.
list mine is hmm, it's also traveling around the world, but then I feel I'm gonna travel in any case, but then it's gonna be I now have a different vigor to do it because now I'm gonna be seeing like the mountains and I'm going for the geography aspect of it and so like
Oh,
be seeing the
okay.
mountains and
Yeah,
like the mountains, the rivers, the seas, oceans, etc. Those things. That's a
yeah.
that's a different vigor. And then the rest are
Mm.
just some like maybe some bungee jumping, skydiving, those things, those types of things.
Man, I'm scared of heights. I'm that one person you should never invite. I promise you, I can't. Hey, bungee jumping, hey. I mean, it looks cool, but if I picture myself doing it, yeah, it's not cool. It's,
But then for me,
yeah, that's not.
I feel I'm gonna do many of the things that are there. Just you have the YouTube thing, which I'm gonna work on, and then
Mm,
from there, once that happens, then through the YouTube, then I go into other aspects. So I feel I'm gonna do them regardless. It's just especially now since I'm in it, so then I'm building towards it. So I feel now I'm
yeah,
working. So now it feels more closer than before.
yeah. Oh no, that's cool. That's cool. That's cool.
So
That's
basically,
cool.
ladies and gentlemen, this episode may have been one of the longest episodes, but it was
The
definitely
longest.
interesting.
Yeah,
We went into a lot of things. Uh,
yeah,
Honestly, Liacho and another I'm thinking of bringing Liacho again for another podcast because this one was nice. We went into many things after he's
yeah.
seen what it is like. And then any parting words you have on your side.
Um, stay away from aliens. Peace out. Don't drink too much coffee, but yeah, I guess. But it was nice being here. We talked. We spoke about a lot of things. Very interesting. So, hopefully I'll be back too. It's very interesting. Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, that was Liaho, who interestingly has its own channel focusing on animation, things like that. Find
Animation.
that
Yeah.
the link will be in the description. And this was the first episode of 2024. It was starting 2024 off with a bang. And then we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah. See you the next time too, buddy. Wait, how long is this episode going to be? It's like I
I don't
feel like
know, 2 hours
this
or
might be the longest one.
yeah, like 2 hours or something.
Yeah, maybe two. Okay, okay. Wait, how much time doesn't it give us? Is it 40 minutes that it gives us?
That's 40 minutes.
So guessing how many times we've taken. Yeah, this might be a long episode.
Okay, so
This might be
so I did, you did, and then that was the day before. Today it was you did the first one. Wait, this is your third one.
I think so, yeah, because
Because
I think there was a time we waited.
you did the first one. I did the second one. This is the third
Yeah.
one. And then one last time, so it's like five times. So that's 200. Yeah, it's 3 hours.
Hey, Jen, and the way we're talking like we don't like it's not 3 hours. What we were just talking here,
Because
like
then,
you're losing track of
yeah,
time. Like
because
now,
it's 9.
yeah, it's only now I realize that it's 9. I'm like, hey, yeah,
Because
time's flying, and I was like, what?
it's 5 times 40. That's like 200.
Mm,
So it's
yeah,
gonna be like, and then there's like cuts in between. So like maybe two, yeah, close to 3 hours. Because it's gonna be 2 hours something, 2 hours 50, 2 hours 40, something like that.
yeah, and that's long. It's long. It's long.
It's a lot.
But yeah,